What's going on? I am Nando.
And I'm DJ.
And hey, what's going on? My name's Diggins.
And this is mostly Nitpicking, a podcast where we pick apart a piece of pop culture by looking exclusively at the details. Woo!
Eve, look out about it.
Yes.
Very good. I think, DJ, your symbiote's okay. I honestly think your last week one was maybe better. When you said Venom last week at the end of the podcast, I was like, that's a pretty good Venom impersonation.
You. Yeah, I really lost it here. The
Venom.
Yeah, no,
It might be the kind of thing where there's just certain words that sound more symbiote, and like Venom is one of them.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
and
Venom just says a lot of shit.
Right. That's all though. That's
it.
Venom.
That's what he sounds like.
Venom.
He sounds like Muppets or something.
You've got to hilariously get it wrong a couple times.
Yeah.
Come on.
I'm sorry.
Well, it's weird. There are two Venom voices, right? There's like serious exposition Venom, and then like
Eddie.
kind of like silly joke Venom of like, oh wow, what's that? You know, that's like the fake Venom. But
I want to play slots all day. Oh,
yeah.
give me money.
We'll talk about it.
Who's here now? Who just joined us in the crowd?
I want to play slots.
It's Venom, the slots player, addicted
I love
to gambling.
slots so
Venom.
much.
Venom. I feel like this is a guy trying to play like a gangster in an old Looney Tunes cartoon.
No, it's me, Venom, and I love slots. Hi, guys.
Are
It
you
sounds
sure
like
you're
a character from like South Park or something.
Are you? Oh yeah, actually, that is true.
And like
You're a Canadian from South Park. That's what's going on.
Yeah, Venom fits right in that group because he's a weird caricature thing, but also he does love he loves betting, and I think that's great. I think he loves the slot machine.
Yeah, it's good he's addicted to gambling.
Just like
We'll get to
most
it.
Americans now that sports betting's legal.
Yeah,
and,
in 2020,
and political betting in a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised he made it this far without already getting addicted to gambling. He had to go all the way to Vegas to do it.
Yeah.
Couldn't be like,
Nando's
Eddie,
favorite
what's
city.
that on your phone? What is this FanDuel? I have good ideas.
Eddie, they have promised me $100 free after
Yeah.
I place my first bet.
As long as that bet is placed on the Las Vegas Golden Knights.
Ooh,
Make sure
yeah.
to curate it to your favorite
Eddie,
team.
we would basically be losing money if I did not place this bet.
That's sponsors they're all turning their little dials to the left for us. There's some that were listening that were like, because I feel like I don't listen to a ton of podcasts that are sponsored by FanDuel, but it's all the sports podcasts.
Right.
But yeah, they're all sponsored by all of those ones. And yeah, it's weird and gross, but you know, that's America. Yeah. It's pretty impressive.
I've been pretty vocal about how I think the legalization of sports betting is one of the greatest mistakes of the past decade.
Yeah,
nah, I think it's fine.
Well, we'll see in the future which
Time
one
will
of you is a bazillionaire and which one of you is, you know, living sad in a box with a little can for your for your change and stuff.
Listen, I don't think we should judge it. I already live sad in a box with a little can, so I don't think that should be part of it.
That's true. I think like if we could bet on movies, that would be a different story, and we almost can on the Vulture Fantasy League. Did they put out the little email that says who's winning now?
I don't think so.
Not for this week, but you could look.
They probably will this upcoming weekend so that they can look at all the Venom stuff.
Yeah, they're gonna shit talk it so much. Although it did fine money wise, so
yeah, it did okay.
Yeah, I mean it's not setting the world on fire, but it's it's making money.
The Rotten Tomatoes score is gonna do no favors there though.
I don't think anyone expected the third Venom movie to really rack up the Rotten Tomatoes score.
Yeah, but be this bad?
How does that work though? If you do the Rotten Tomatoes score, is that be under a certain? Is it just if it's rotten, or is it under a certain margin?
There's a range. There is a low enough score where you can actually lose points, but you got to be in like the tens or something like that.
Okay.
It's they released or not released before it started. They had the metric of here's all the stuff that's worth points, and so they have all the Rotten Tomatoes ranges, although I don't remember them offhand. But yeah, you got to be under 10% before it's losing you points.
Okay, so I'm not super worried about that then. But yeah, we'll give updates as we find, as we get more information. But before that, you guys, we have to talk about the news of the week.
Oh, so much news, right?
2 great franchises dead in the water as of this week.
Rip.
We'll talk about them both, but let's go to the easier one first. The Fantastic Beasts franchise, the one that no one thinks is not dead, is dead. It's totally dead. So
what?
Very sad. They're not going to make more of them.
Make a 4th one of those.
Yeah, it would be the 4th one, I think. They made so many too. Like, they really went for it. There's
really incredible when you consider the fact that none of them were ever good or were going.
Yeah,
anywhere.
Exactly. Especially after that second one that nobody liked. I guess at certain points it's like too late to turn the car around, but
I mean, the fact that they made a second one that nobody liked and then they made a third one that even less people liked. I think it's the real death now.
Well, they thought they could do it, though. They were pretty confident. I feel like this is a huge loss for us. We were so committed to that franchise.
I
think it's a huge loss for us.
I think that ep we did on the third one that pod we did on the third one, that's a pretty good pod because that movie sucks so bad.
Right, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, I'm curious what the because I know they're still doing Harry Potter stuff with like HBO's getting a show or whatever. But I wonder if like in 10, 20 years, there'll be a little thing where people will go like, those Fantastic Beasts movies are pretty good though. This will get the kind of Phantom Menace treatment that these all seem to get. Yeah.
Listen, I'm the exact right age range for those Star Wars prequel truthers. And I got to tell you guys, you're wrong. I had affection for them as a kid too. I was the exact right age. I understand. They're not good movies.
That's what they say is they're the best ones. And now looking at, Fantastic Beasts, I think they have a lot of the same things in them as the first ones. They have like a villain who's like white, has white skin and stuff. I don't know. I feel like who's the bad guy in those movies? Grindelwald. He had like
Grindelwald.
He had like a white pasty face, and that's what the Emperor has. He
was Wizard. He was literally Wizard Hitler.
Right, yeah.
Tiggs, you can't call people Hitler. Stop it. Stop calling people Hitler. It's insensitive or whatever.
Great point.
Literally the authoritarian fascist leader in the 1940s for the wizarding world. I don't know what else you need from me.
Stop saying fascist. You can't say fascist either. These are all words you can't say.
Very fair,
you can't say
fair.
Fascist against the people who hold the Nazi rally in Madison Square Garden. If you call someone a fascist because they think people should have health care, that's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So does that make Grindelwald a fascist?
Well, if we go by the second movie where he's like, my whole program is that I think World War II and the Holocaust are bad and they shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
I guess so.
And then in the second
weird
movie, yeah, I feel like by the third movie, he's like starting to like rig elections with fake animals or some shit. I think was the plot of that one.
That's
it. He zombifies a Chinese mythical creature who will apparently, if that creature bows to you, then that's more important than who people vote for in the wizard president elections.
So yeah, I feel like that. I mean, that's kind of fascisty, I guess. It's rigging the bowing ceremony or something.
Yeah,
but
it's true. But
yeah, I mean, stopping Wizard Hitler, I guess, is also fascist according to Diggins. So
not me, sir, not me.
Yeah.
Well, according to a lot of people these days, stopping Hitler would be fascist.
Well, I was to say, speaking of Hitler, I want to talk about the other franchise that died on the vine this week. Apparently,
the Fourth Reich.
Well, I mean, if we could only hope we'd be so lucky.
We gotta wait a week to see that one.
Yeah, but no, the Kingsman franchise is apparently dead.
No, really?
Yeah,
I did
a franchise that either will end, depending on what you consider the Kingsman canon, on Hitler and Stalin, or Hitler and Lenin teaming up to, I don't know, do whatever it is they were doing in those movies, or Agent Argyle meeting the Kingsman guy in the bar in the end of Argyle and going, "I'm a Kingsman too," or something.
Oh, right, that did all happen.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
What has any franchise ever fallen off as hard as the Kingsman franchise? I don't know.
Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But Jurassic Park, it's like, how could you even possibly make a sequel to that? With Kingsman, it's like, of course, you can make a million sequels because it's James Bond. That's all they do. And they still managed to fuck it up immediately. And then they tried so many approaches. But what was your favorite part of the Kingsman franchises? And you can't pick anything from the first movie that's good.
Obviously, when he finger bangs that lady with a finger condom to put in the spy or whatever.
That's right. Yeah, because he's mad at his girlfriend for smoking evil weed or something. Yeah. So he's like, fuck this, I'm a bad guy now. That was really weird. Did we get a first-person view of that too? I think we did.
Oh, we went way up in there, like way more than you think was necessary.
Great.
Yeah, that was a choice.
That was
probably
insane.
A bad one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird how much Kingsman 2 feels like a movie made by people who didn't understand Kingsman 1, but it's made by the same people.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's like the Joker 2 of Kingsman 1s, where it's like they made a movie deliberately to be like, fuck you, Kingsman fans, you shouldn't like Kingsman. And yeah, it worked. What about you, Diggins? What's your favorite part of the Kingsman franchise besides Kingsman 1?
I guess it would have to be when Rasputin. Now you think I'm about to say the fight scene, but I'm not. It's instead when he makes the Emperor and Empress of Russia like lean down in front of him like the dirty little girls they are, and suckle at the teat of his opium.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. That was weird. That guy's in this movie in Venom. Speaking of actors, Venom. Yeah, I think I'm with DJ on this one. That one thing you said is probably the worst thing ever. I think it's maybe one of the worst things I've ever seen in a movie. It really is.
Quite terrible. This is quite
horrible.
Terrible.
The only thing that I think, like, in terms of pure cringiness that you could put up to that stands in that same space is all the Elton John bullshit in the last like 30 minutes of Kingsman 2, where he like shows up and winks at the camera and the robot's like, I love Elton John. And that's awful. And I like Elton John, but did not care for that. Remember how the president in that is like George Bush, and he's like,
oh yeah,
not like he's George Bush, but he's played by Bruce Greenwood, and he's going for vaguely Southern. Yeah. And he puts all the people that did the drugs in little boxes and flies all the boxes to like a baseball or like a football stadium or something like that.
Yeah,
it's insane.
What a stupid movie.
What a dumb, bullshit movie. Pedro Pascal was in it, and he was a star, and we love him now, and that was great for him. Who else was in that? I guess Channing Tatum for a little bit, so that was fun.
Channing Tatum's in it, yeah.
Yeah, Gambit's home.
Halle Berry's in that one for like 5 seconds, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she is. And then Jeff Daniels, I guess, is the other one. Those are all the Kingsmen or the statesmen that we've named. Yeah. Can anybody remember this? This is a question I had in my own little head. Who was the bad guy of the Kingsman?
The like general's assistant who turned out to be a Scottish nationalist.
Right. Yes. And is that an actor we're familiar with? Should we know who that is?
I remember who played him.
I remember there was a reveal, and it was so pointless that I couldn't even tell who it was supposed to be. The Kingsman. Let's see. Oh yeah, he's in it too. That's a fun movie, wasn't it?
Matthew Good.
Oh, Ozymandias.
Oh.
And stuff. Yeah. Interesting. Well, now we'll never get to see him. Well, no, he died probably. Well, he must. I honestly couldn't tell you anything about how that movie ends besides the Hitler thing.
That was the wild man. That's like close second past the finger bang, right? Like
the Hitler thing's incredible. Like, it's so funny.
I mean, it's funny like on its face that they just did a post credits sequel tease about Hitler, but like the context of it is even dumber and funnier to me, where it's literally Vladimir Lenin being like, for our evil scheme, of course we have the powerful left guys, but for horseshoe theory we need powerful right men.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, remember Mata Hari's in that movie too? Oh, that movie sucks. Everything about that movie is... well, actually, there's some cool fight scenes in it. I like the Rasputin stuff. Looking back, it's kind of fun. Where he's like dancing like a ballerina. But all the rest of it's pretty bad. And, yeah. We'll never find out how World War II went in the Kingsman verse. Because I feel like that...
Yeah, we'll never know.
It's some pretty big implications for like what the fuck was going on in World War II. The World War II that would have happened before Kingsman. Like, you know, it would have been canon for all the Kingsman movies we've seen. Hitler was secretly working with Lenin.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
The idea
unhinged.
that all the great political upheavals of the first half of the 20th century were just like the orchestrated conspiracy of like the Illuminati and not expressions of like, you know, human sentiment or whatever.
Yeah.
Is, I think, so much more of an insane thing to suggest than anyone involved with that movie really thought about.
Mm-hmm. And it's an insane thing that like is never brought up in the first or second Kingsman movie. So like there's clearly guys that are trying to do evil stuff, but they don't seem connected to, you know, the what's his name, Daniel Bruhl's character, who's a real guy also, who is orchestrating the Hitler thing.
Oh yeah, he was a Jewish Nazi in real life, which went about as well for him as you expect.
That's in real life, but in the Kingsman verse, he's secretly like the, you know, Blofeld guy with the cat on his lap and stuff. In these, he probably would have secretly been alive or something.
Yeah, that's another thing in the Kingsman verse. The like Nazi narrative of the Great Betrayal is correct.
Yeah,
a Jewish man did betray Germany in World War I to make sure that they lost. Which again, I feel like nobody really thought about that too hard.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. I hope, I don't know. I mean, I hope we never see anything from this franchise again, because if that's real, all the stuff we said is really funny. That's what it was.
I mean, it would be really funny to me now if, like, in the first Kingsman movie at some, because like the Kingsmen were involved in all this stuff, so they knew about these conspiracies and everything. So it would be really funny if at one point Colin Firth was talking to Taron Egerton and was just like, by the way, Eggsy, just so you know, all of the Russian Revolution, you know, Germany's descent into fascism, World War II, all of that, was actually a secret plot for Scottish nationalism.
Hey.
Yeah.
The whole point behind all of that was for Scotland to be independent.
I'll give this franchise two things it gave us. It did give us Taron Egerton, right? Which I think, you know, that's a win, right?
Was this his big first? Is this his first big thing, or was
I
he
thought it was
kind of on the up and up?
Yeah,
was he?
He did some TV
I don't know.
stuff. I think he did some
asking.
movies, but this was his star-making performance for sure.
Yeah,
definitely wasn't Robin Hood.
Yeah, no, you're right. He really did take off because of Kingsman.
So it gave us that, and then it also gave us, and I don't know that it fully gave us this thing, but I think it did. Country Road being super popular.
Oh my god!
Right, like Mark Strong singing it at the end of Kingsman 2 right before he dies. I feel like that kicked off something.
The kids do love that song for some reason. I don't know if that's why, but it is a weird TikTok thing.
And Diggins, well, what do you think it is then? Because I would attribute it to Kingsman 2.
I think that song's just been really popular for like decades. Like, what are you talking about? It never went away.
But like no, it became more like zeitgeisty, right? Where you got like people in like the Germany football games singing it, right? Like I really think we could put this on Kingsman 2. I really do. I
would hesitate to give Kingsman 2 that kind of cultural cachet.
I don't know. It was pretty big. That we were all excited about that sequel.
We were all loving
the
it.
three of us were excited because we liked the first movie. I don't know that there was I don't know that Kingsman fever was sweeping America.
Diggins, I had people coming up to me on the street, tears in their eyes, saying, I just cannot wait for Kingsman 2. I can't wait for Kingsman 2. That's all they were saying to me. Tears
Giving
in
big
their
hugs.
eyes. Yeah. They were so ready.
They were huge. These two huge guys, like big, tough, manly guys.
Jacked. Huge schlongs, all of them.
Oh my God!
Right
yeah,
out of their pants. You're really like, oh my God!
Just like Arnold Palmer, the biggest dicks you've ever seen.
Yep.
We still haven't gotten a fact check on that, by the way, and I demand it.
I mean, I have to feel like he has to be true, right? Otherwise, where does that come from? He's never said that about anybody else. That's got to be true.
I believe it. I believe Arnold Palmer was backing.
Listen, we can't trust the source. There's no
I'll
way.
Google it now and see.
I'm not saying it's not true. I'm saying I need independent corroboration before I believe it.
All right, let's get are any of Arnold Palmer's lovers still alive? Can we get them on the phone?
I mean, there's pictures of the man in
properly
loose-fitting shorts
and
pants. I'm sure we can find the.
Well, Gopher pants are traditionally very breathable and lighter colors. I feel like they're
not known for their tightness.
That's true. Well, speaking of that, what else was I going to say? Oh, not speaking of that, but speaking of Kingsman, one other thing I wanted to say that I had completely forgotten until I looked up the IMDb page for Kingsman. You guys remember at the end of the Kingsman, they teased the creation of the Kingsman as a thing, and Aaron Taylor Johnson is there playing a young version of Michael Caine in the first one.
Is that who he was supposed to be?
Yeah. He was Arthur.
He was supposed to take up this franchise if they made more and be the new cool guy.
Yeah, but now he's Craven, so
now he's Craven.
Now
he's
he'll be
busy.
too busy making the million Craven sequels.
Mm-hmm. One of them's bound to work. And this is their last one. Although they might make more of these.
They've already announced
I've heard rumors.
Sinister Six, Nando.
I know, and why not? Fuck it.
Pretend
Madam Web even belongs there.
Characters.
Yeah,
it's like Avengers, but better.
Yeah, exactly. Great. And we'll talk about that now. Let's talk about Venom 3: The Last Dance.
Oh my gosh.
It was the movie of the week. It came out this week. Sequel to the other ones. Directed by, I want to say, one of the writers of the most recent one. I think Andy Serkis said he would have directed it, but he was doing the stupid Gollum movie or something, so he couldn't do it. But he did manage to sneak into this movie in a way that is so funny. It's like the Hitler tease of this movie, if you really break it down. But
playing, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we don't have to talk about this now. I'm sure there's a wheel slice about it. One of Nando's favorite comic book characters ever.
I mean, my favorite, and I want to say Sweden's favorite comic book character ever, which we'll definitely talk about.
God, I have no idea what you mean, so I'm very interested to hear that.
Oh yeah, it's a fun story. But yeah, there's this movie stars all the great guys, everybody's favorite guys. Tom Hardy twice. Everybody's favorite guy from the Kingsman, Rhys Ifans, that he's in there, and Juno Temple from Fargo and from Ted Lasso is there.
Yep. And we didn't get Michelle Williams back. She's not here this time.
Nope, she is not here. Chiwetel Ejiofor is there, and he's playing a character that is not the one from Doctor Strange. And that's all you need. There's probably a couple of other actors in this that have names.
I would venture to guess that most of the actors in this have names.
I think this might not be. I think this might be one of the first movies made with actors that don't have names. Where they just went, "Who are you?" And the actor was like, "I don't know." And they were like, "Go. Run around in the back of this shot, please. Here's a gun and a little outfit. You're in the army now." That would be a good way to cast a movie like this. Amnesiacs, It'd be like a Venom movie. These must be good. And they're like, yeah, the other two were very good. Get excited about this Venom movie. Yeah. But DJ, you're the IMDb'sman of this week.
I am. And I hope that you guys do well, because I'm not excited for a tiebreaker. But obviously, what everyone wants to know is, guys, what is the IMDb piece in spelling bee? What is it? But I'll tell you what it is. It is a game where my two esteemed co-hosts are going to try and guess the summary on imdb.com, and whoever gets it right gets to not have to summarize the movie, which, sometimes is fine and sometimes is just nails on a chalkboard. Just like that guy from Cirque du Freak, just, nails on this chalkboard, ripping it out, literally taking chunks of chalkboard out. But I know the follow-up is, you're all asking, is, DJ, how did they get the IMDb B as in spelling bee summary on imdb.com? Well, it's actually very complicated. It's sometimes it's simple, but it's actually very complicated. So imdb.com was founded by Sir Imden Besman III. So he came up with the idea, and this was done centuries ago. I think it might have been during the 1200s, during the Fourth Crusades, approximately. Don't look that up.
That sounds right.
Yeah, I think that's right. And what he did was, in the court, all of the, the jesters and people will be putting on plays for him, and he's like, I wish that there were summaries for these plays so I could just, understand what was going to happen ahead of time, or for future reference I could see what it was. So he had all of his slaves in the dungeon start writing summaries for these, and this was a tradition that carried on through the Renaissance and came to America during the 16th century, and then eventually was brought to today, the IMDb summaries. But we don't have slaves anymore, so we had to change how the summaries were done. But what IMDb's been,
I've listened to some conservative comedians that would suggest otherwise.
And that one governor of North Carolina on that porn site.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, well,
he's not the governor yet.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
he's
lieutenant
the lieutenant governor currently.
That's fair.
Right?
Yeah,
it's just crazy. But right, so not maybe someone believed that, but as far as I know, and you can fact check me, but there's no widespread slavery, at least in America. Maybe there's some other places I don't know about. If Willy Wonka's still doing his thing, that's probably close to slavery, right? Right, it's probably that. Anyway,
that's a touchy subject on the internet, whether or not the Oompa Loompas are slaves or not. It comes up a lot in message boards.
Surprisingly controversial.
I'm not saying either way. They're great people on both sides. But anyway, so they had to evolve how they come up with the summaries over the years. And what was decided, it was written down on stone tablets so it would be preserved forever, is that on the harvest moon of every year, every baby born that day, 18 years after that day, would be initiated into the IMDb Summary Writing Institute. And then that was it. There's you would wake up and you'd be like, this is it. This is your job now. And you are the person who's going to write IMDb summaries. It's all right, I guess that's what I do now. And they're paid handsomely, and they only have to do it for 2 years. And it's kind of like a little bit of service, and then you can leave. But because there's just so many varied people writing all these summaries, because there's so many movies, some of these are good and some of these are bad. And this one, it's weird because the movie's weird. It's very cryptic, and it doesn't really explain the plot of this movie, but the plot of this movie is pretty loose. So I feel like the summary was working. It didn't have a great starting point to go with the movie, but it's quite vague. It's 2 full sentences, and it's pretty vague. Yeah. I would say you want to expand your minds on this one. You really want to
expand your minds.
Ooh. Yeah, we've got to open that little door in our brain that opens when you're dying.
Yes, just like in this movie. So that's all I have to say about that.
Almost like I was making a reference.
Yeah. That rambling rant. So anyway, Nando, do you want to go first or second?
I'd like to go second.
Okay. So Diggins, it's all on you.
Yeah.
All right. Eddie Brock and Venom are on the run after the after the events in San Francisco, right? That's where they're from.
I know that's where the first movie takes place. I can't remember where the second movie takes place, but probably.
Just roll with it.
I think they're still in San Francisco. None of this is part of the summary. No, nothing I said after San Francisco is part of the summary. Eddie Brock and Venom are on the run after the events in San Francisco. But they soon find that trouble is catching up with them in the form of Venom, Venom's past and the history of the symbiotes. That was really bad. Nando, this is yours.
Yeah,
for
but
the
it
taking.
got a lot of the things I liked in it too. So like I have a lot of similar things that I was gonna put in.
Just gotta say them slightly less stupid, and you're probably gonna win.
Fingers crossed. All right, let's say, I'm gonna say like, what would you even call them? Dysfunctional friends. Eddie and Venom are on a road trip after. Well, no. Dysfunctional friends Eddie and Venom have to go on the run after. I don't even. After like.
This is why I ended up with the events. I was like, what do I even say?
Well, that or like after returning from the multiverse. But like, I don't even know if they'd put that in the summary because the movie kind of tries to undo that as quickly as possible. So I'll say, whatever I said, curious or unusual friends, Eddie and Venom, Eddie Brock and Venom are on the run after all the crazy shit that keeps happening. But then, a demon from Venom's past finds them and threatens the whole universe if they don't survive or something. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I don't want to blame you guys. I mean, you're both horribly off, but it's neither of yours fault. This is terrible. I'm sad because you both got the Diggins. You started off really well with the Eddie Brock and Venom are on the run. That's like almost verbatim how it starts, but then Nando also did that, so that kind of cancels out. So he stole from you. So
yes, theft.
The
greatest power in the multiverse.
I have a couple of tiebreakers. One is similar to last week's, where like a series of events occur or something like that. That was the summary.
Oh right. I was trying to think what was my tiebreaker. No, yeah, it was the most generic statement I've ever seen in an IMDb summary.
There's a crazier one in this one. So I'm gonna
crazier in that it's even more generic, or crazier in that it is less generic but more weird?
Less generic, more weird, and I don't think something anyone would say. So this is gonna be really tough. But so I'm gonna give you the first part of the summary. This is the first full sentence. Eddie and Venom on the run face pursuit from both worlds. I
guess. I guess.
Both. Sure.
That's crazy. So then, as blank, and then the rest of the summary kind of goes on. So it's as, and that's I don't want to say like a 2-word phrase, but it's like as blank, they're compelled to make a heart-wrenching choice that could mark the end of their symbiotic partnership. So it's kind of describing, how a series of events. So I want to see if you guys can get the blank, and I'll try and guide you along the way. And then I have much less interesting tiebreakers.
So now to be clear, this is a somewhat generic descriptor for the idea that things happen.
Exactly.
But it's a weird one that you don't think people generally use.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. Okay. I don't think you'll be like, oh, I'm using this one all the time.
Okay.
So
I guess
which one of us goes first?
Yeah, Nando, it's up to you who goes first.
Right. I'll go first, whatever.
All right.
Let's say as actions progress.
Okay, Diggins.
As chaos erupts.
Okay. Neither of you are right, but I like where you're at, Diggins. Let's try a couple more.
Okay.
So I was closer of the two of us.
Well, yeah, and relatively speaking, right?
I mean, obviously, yeah, it's a subjective question. But in your opinion, I was closer.
Yeah, and you're in the right space.
All right, how about as madness happens?
Okay, Diggins.
As insanity spirals.
Okay. Let's try again.
Okay.
Would you say that what we did better or worse than the first round?
I think worse.
Okay. So we were getting further away. Got it.
Yeah.
As catastrophes befall.
I like this. I love this.
It's
Diggins?
not a great sign, but yeah, go with it. I like it.
As darkness looms.
I like that. All right, so I gotta try and point you guys in the right. I would say this is like it's a 2-word phrase that you'd be like, wait, what's that? Which I think some of yours were. I think darkness looms might be a bit more common, but so it's obviously it's like noun verb. But the noun is a more like a generic term for events. So it's not like catastrophes or insanity. It's this kind of like overall generic term for events or things happening. And then I won't give you anything on the verb. But it's not just a progression, but kind of like a ratcheting up of the stakes. So I don't know if this is going to help at all, or we'll move on to other tiebreakers.
All right.
I got some. I got a couple ideas.
All right.
How about as drama heightens?
Okay, Diggins.
As circumstances explode.
Ooh.
Okay. One of you is very close, but I don't want to say which one it is. But one of you is very, very close.
Would you say one of us is close enough that this is a sudden death round? If one of us gets it on this last guess, they win. But if not, then the other person gets it.
Wow, someone feels pretty confident.
Or do you have a boring tiebreaker that can?
Week, where one of you got really close, so I was like, okay, we'll do one more. I'll give it to that person if neither of you gets closer. Or gets it exactly, I think is what I said.
Listen, DJ, I'm fine with doing other tiebreakers, even if this one is, obviously awesome.
I'm not saying that I think I'm the person. I'm just saying that's what I did last week.
That's fair.
Now, granted, you did end up getting it exactly after I said that.
Well, let's this will probably be the. Give me two more. We'll give me two more each, and then we'll see where we stand.
Okay.
So Nando, yeah.
I don't remember what mine or Diggins's were, so it's not a great start. Diggins was like, as something explodes, as it wasn't chaos, but it was like chaos. It wasn't events. It was like events.
This is so funny.
As excitement commences.
All right, Diggins.
Okay, so the two guesses were Nando said drama heightens. I said circumstances explode.
Circumstances, right? Yeah.
I
just said excitement, which also might be right. You never know.
I feel like Nando was probably the closer one there, because I feel like that's generic enough to be notable, but also like you could finesse that into being something that also doesn't sound right. So I'm going to say has events coalesce.
Okay,
I think
you guys are
thing Nando already said.
You guys are both way off again, so give each one last guess, and then
Okay.
we're gonna move.
I got
another
one. All right. As circumstances ensue.
All right, Diggins.
Huh. Okay. So, as why not? Why not keep circumstances? Nando already did. I can't do worse by doing that.
It's true.
As circumstances flare up.
Okay. All right, so I'm not going to reveal yet. I'm just going to bank this and move on to the next tiebreaker.
Okay.
Oh, mysterious.
Yeah, the word was
Mysterio.
circumstances. If that's
Journey to the Mysterious Island.
They were circumstances. Okay.
They certainly were.
Now, Nando, as you mentioned earlier, Andy Serkis was set to direct this, but he had a scheduling commitment. You said to the Gala movie, that is actually not what the conflict was. He is directing a movie that is based off a book. I'll give you each 3 guesses. Can you tell me what the book is?
Oh, I know this.
I kind of know this too, but I can't remember off the top of my head what it was.
Yeah, I remember hearing about this. And I remember being like, really? I can't quite remember what it was.
Well, what a fun tiebreaker then.
Yeah,
Feels fair.
I'll say. Oh, you know what I'll say? I'll say. What's the book? Animal Farm.
Okay, Diggins.
I feel like it was dumber than that. It's a book series that they would make what's a book or book series, I should say. You didn't say series. That they would adapt into a movie that Andy Serkis might direct. Because he does a lot of CGI stuff. That's kind of his thing. Which does make Animal Farm make some amount of sense. He's making an Animorphs movie, guys.
Oh shit, that'd be sick.
That would be sick. Okay.
I would watch the hell out of that.
Yeah.
Nando, that is correct. It is Animal Farm.
Damn.
But Diggins, I did give you a point because you got circumstances first. So in my head, I gave you a point. The phrase was as circumstances tighten. So you guys are tied. Yeah, Titan. As they tighten.
Real Titan.
As they attack on Titan. So the way I see it is you guys are tied, and this is for the whole Ship Sham Zoom. So if Nando gets this first
Another
shot.
phrase everyone uses.
Yep. If Nando gets his first shot, kill shot, he wins. Otherwise, you each get guesses. Okay. So, in the film, there's one of the symbiotes, Agony. Agony is allegedly one of the symbiotes in this film. Right. This was teased 2 weeks prior to the release via a different medium. Can you guys guess the medium that it was teased in and how it was teased?
I mean, I can 100%.
I also know the answer to this.
Yeah,
Damn
it was a Fortnite skin.
Right, because you play Fortnite.
Because I play Fortnite now. Yeah, and I use I used that PDF or that image in one of my videos.
All right, never mind. No. Everything I said was a lie.
They also had a She-Venom skin, which is even weirder considering how much that's in the movie. Like, there are other symbiotes that show up for way more time that like would be like, that's kind of a fun Fortnite
I don't know
skin.
about way more time. More time,
way more.
certainly.
I mean, She-Venom is on screen for literally like 3 frames of the movie, right? Like it just kind of shows up and then is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like the other symbiotes are like what? 100 frames of the movie. It's not that much more.
No. There's some that are they're pretty memorable. We'll talk about them, but the security guard
problem
guy.
is all these trivia is like stupid, like comic trivia, right? Like,
That's
right?
Pretty stupid if you ask me.
Sudden death. What number is DJ thinking of?
No.
Oh my god!
Like, Diggins, can you tell me? Okay, so, you watched the very end of the movie, right? You watched both post credit scenes. Okay, so can you tell me in the last post credit scene, there's a cockroach that like the get right.
Spoilers for the end of the movie for everybody, but also who gives a shit? But yeah,
doesn't matter. There's a cockroach that goes up to one of like the little symbiotes. What is that a reference to?
The line earlier in the movie where the doctor character for like really weirdly is like cockroaches will live forever. They'll tear this place down and cockroaches will still be here. And the guard who's like the checkpoint guy who's checking her in is like pretending to be interested. Like, oh, that's cool.
I mean, like, yeah. And I feel like he's like, he must get these every day, right? Because she works there and seems to have worked there frequently, right? So does she show up every day with a new little animal fact? That's fun.
So, I mean, I feel like that's the real answer. And
yeah, that has to be it, right? Is there something else?
Well, apparently it's how the Mania symbiote survived being nuked in the Venom series in 2003. Did you know that, Nando? I don't know.
I did not know that.
Okay.
Wait, it symbioted onto a cockroach?
Apparently. And that's how it survived being nuked.
Cockroaches are like not especially notably resistant to radiation.
I believe that, yeah. I'm willing to believe
it's like the Twinkies thing. It just kind of was a fun thing to say and then became a fact.
All right, we're gonna try. We're oh man, this is where the audience is like, guys, stop doing the tiebreakers.
No, never. You love it.
We're gonna have to wind up doing the name game. Okay.
Oh, the name game.
What?
Oh God, help me. Yeah.
What? Null translates to a word in
yes, it does. In Swedish, right? Or something like that?
Damn it.
This is what I was saying. Why Null is a popular character in another language.
I see. I did not know.
Do you know what this is, Diggins? Oh, it's pretty funny.
I mean, I can make some guesses now that we're talking about it.
Yeah, why not? Well, DJ Googles other things about symbiotes. What do you think Null stands for?
What do you think Null stands for?
I mean,
remember, this is the Thanos of the symbiotes, everybody. And they made this character, and remind you people, because sometimes it's like, oh man, this is like a character that's been around since the 40s, and then this new thing happened. It's like, this character was made 6 years ago. Yeah. So they could have Googled it.
They did a weird thing of like, they're constantly retconning the symbiote origin because the original origin is really stupid, but that's why I like it. So I wish they would stop.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, like, first thought, best thought, it must be the fuck word, right?
Yeah, it is. Fuck.
Yeah,
it's fuck. Yeah. All right. I'm praying Nana doesn't know this. So, I'm
gonna pretend not to, so we can be done.
Plays Strickland in this movie. Right?
Yeah,
obviously. Correct.
Did you guys?
He says his name a bunch of times near the end of the movie, so I do remember that is his name.
Did you guys know there was another actor in talks to play this character?
I did not know this.
Oh, thank God. Okay. All right. Here we go. So sudden death. This is it. So this person was approached to, but could not due to other filming conflicts. And if you guys cannot guess the person, I'll get into those conflicts. But yeah, who was approached to be Strickland before Chichwell Ejiofor?
I would love you to just 3 times in a row say his name.
You could do it different times, different ways each time too. So eventually you get it.
I imagine he would do. That's why I'm asking.
Chiwetel Ejiofor, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Chichwell Ejiofor.
Cool.
Help
Perhaps.
me, please.
I hope we don't have any listeners in any part of Africa. Because wow.
Please help. Please send help. Please help. Please help. I feel bad. This is horrible. This is worse than Mary Elizabeth Winstead, delicious. This is the worst thing ever.
No, and I'm with like, I feel like when actors are like, I changed my name to make it more pronounceable. I'm like, you don't need to do that, Zoe Saldana. Like we can figure that one out. But Chiwetel Ejiofor, and I don't even think I'm pronouncing it right, is one that I have never fully learned because I read it once when I was younger and went, I think I got it. And then my brain cannot accept a new one. Like I'm very bad at that.
Baron Mordo.
Yeah,
Chiwetel
right.
Ejiofor.
Thank you, sir. All right. Well,
where's he? Like, I feel like I feel like the first thing I saw him in was probably Children of Men, where I was like pretty young. Like, what's he most known for? What's his first role?
Kinky Boots.
Oh, Serenity. Actually, he was in the Firefly movie, and he was very good in that. Yeah, as like the man or something, because it's a fucking Joss Whedon movie. So there's to be a character that I think the character's name was like the Agent. Anyway, what other actor?
According to this Wikipedia page.
In case you were wondering where he's from, it's England.
Oh yeah, every actor in this movie is from England. That's the rule.
He's of Nigerian descent.
Oh, okay.
Like it's not a traditional British name, DJ.
Oh, isn't it? Isn't it?
All right, I'm gonna say back to actors. I'm gonna name an actor. Everybody knows who it is. It's it's someone who you said they had a scheduling conflict, right? All right, so I'm going to assume it's somebody from something that's kind of recent. It would never be this, but I'm going to say like Joaquin Phoenix.
All right, Diggins.
Obviously, it was Aaron Taylor Johnson because the part of Sony making Venom didn't
so
know
funny.
about the part of Sony making Craven. Obviously,
I love that. Neither of you are right. And as a reminder, this movie did get delayed due to the writer's strike. So
that's true.
Yeah,
Sony just shuffling everything around because
that's part of it too.
Didn't it get pushed forward and then delayed and then pushed forward a little bit and then delayed again and ended up exactly where it started?
Yes, it did.
Yeah, that's all here too. I'm just saying that this. I think the scheduling conflict makes sense in retrospect. Anyway, keep going. Let's keep going with guesses.
I'll say Hugh Jackman.
Okay,
because he had Wolverine. He's also non-American, so that tracks with the rest of the casting in this movie.
You know, I don't know why Terry Crews keeps popping up in my head.
All right. I'm starting to give you guys some hints. So I will say this person is American. So we'll just throw that out there. Just
that's why they said no.
American.
Well, and another piece. They're not the typical action star. They're not like Big Muscle Man or like big typical action star.
So it's not John Cena. Got it.
Yeah.
American.
I'll give you that one for free. It's not John Cena.
American, not action star. I mean, I guess it makes sense because this character is just a military guy. Mm-hmm. So, and everybody's favorite actor that we've already named so many times, I don't even need to say his name. Also not a typical acting star.
Right. Yes.
I'm gonna say, and it was somebody who was probably filming
so
something.
Good about the thing I'm gonna say when Nando does his guess.
I'm gonna say, it's a movie that I've already kind of forgotten came out this year. No, but he would be a typical action star. God, this is tricky because every time I think of an actor, it's an action star. So I need to think of an actor who's either really old or kind of known for something else that's pretty specific. I'm going to say Seth Rogen.
Okay, Diggins.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford.
Okay.
That's funny.
All right, so I'll give you guys another hint. So the conflict in question was a different, or was it a Marvel project?
Of course it was.
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah. Harrison Ford.
Yeah, right.
It was a Marvel project. Okay. And you're saying it's an American actor, so it's not Russell Crowe, even though that would be
correct. That's correct.
It's none of the Madam Webs. It's a man, right? We've determined that.
It is a man. Yes, it is a man.
That whittles down some of the more recent Marvel stuff. I'll say no, he's not American. I'll say what the fuck movie Marvel stuff has even come out in the last Owen Wilson. How about Owen Wilson? He's American. He's not an action star. He's in a Marvel thing. I like that.
All right, Diggins.
That's a great point. Ke Huy Quan, same thing he was in.
He is an action star, Diggins. I don't know if you've seen his recent trailers, but he's an action star.
God damn it, you're right. I would say.
I agree. I do think
in an American context, we would not call him a typical action star.
That's fair. Did you see the trailer for the new movie he's in?
Yeah, I played before this one.
Yeah, they just love it. He's in everything. Good for him. He's making up for lost time. Yeah.
Well, Diggins, I would say it doesn't matter because Nando is correct. It is Owen Wilson. So
that makes sense.
Takes the dub. Yes, gives a conflict with Loki too. He was not
so funny that they would have got another guy for fucking Marvel stuff. They are so bad at casting these.
I mean, to be fair, they ended up with a second man from Marvel stuff.
Yeah,
anyway.
Yeah, I know.
That's all they can do.
All right, so congratulations, Nando. You've won the very long and extended tiebreaker. I'm sure our listeners are very happy with that.
Yeah,
everybody loved it. Everybody clapped when they heard it.
Yeah.
And that means, Nando, you get to tell us and the listeners what you thought of Venom 3.
Yeah, listeners, I didn't think it's very good, but also I've never really liked these. So, it's about as good as any of the rest of them. I do think Venom 2 is the worst because Carnage is cool in the comics and they pretty much didn't do that. I think Carnage as a character should be like a really, scary Hannibal Lecter kind of villain, and instead he wasn't anything interesting at all. And they released concept art where he turned into a little priest, and then they didn't do that in the movie, so I was like, fuck this movie. So I think that one's the worst. I think Venom 1 is, right in the middle, I guess, but might be the best one. I just think this one, like, the stuff with Eddie and Venom is fine, but it's like kind of the same as before. I think I love all the retconning and all the bullshit, especially considering like Null did not exist when they made the first Venom movie. So like they had to really try to retcon this very recent movie with the comic thing that had to have came out right after. But yeah, I don't think any of the performances are very good. I think all the cameos are weird and pointless. Some of them no, that's not true. I liked one of them. And I like the other one, but then they stay around way too long. And by that point, I'm like, we didn't need this. But I think the end of it's kind of fun. It's a movie that feels like it's being pulled constantly in different directions by all the different plots and villains and stuff. And by the time you get to the movie, or the end of the movie, you remember like, oh, right, that guy was like a big part of it. And that was stupid considering what the movie was about. So I didn't really like most of it. But there were some parts that were kind of fun. The symbiotes look kind of cool. It's pretty dumb. Wait a second, hold on. Did we ever find out who the guy in the room is?
No.
What the fuck? What was that? Oh my god, I just remembered that character existed.
No, you're talking about the guy that Chiwetel Ejiofor calls up and is like, can I do whatever I want? And the guy's like, yes. So
yeah, he's the guy that hires him. He's like, get me Strickland.
Here's the funny thing about that guy, Nando. He is played by an actor from earlier Venom movies, but it's not clear if they're the same character, and in fact would kind of not make sense if they were.
Is it supposed to be Riz Ahmed?
No. Like the actor is the same.
Yeah, I guess that probably didn't sound like Riz Ahmed. Who is it?
I don't remember who this guy is. He's like Dr. something or other.
I had it in the trivia, but I'm like, this is really annoying.
Wait, the actor isn't the same or the actor is the same?
The actor is the same.
But the character is not the same in the IMDb?
We don't know.
Okay.
So it's the actors Rhys Ifans? No, sorry.
The one from this?
No. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Wow, that's a twist.
No.
He was there the whole time.
Sorry. I just had it here. Oh god. Can I be fired from the podcast? Is that like
Reed
possible?
Scott?
There.
Wait, him?
Leap.
What?
Yeah.
He played Dr. Dan Lewis.
Yeah.
In the first
boyfriend.
The boyfriend. So that's why I said it's not clear if they're supposed to be the same character, but if they are, it doesn't really make sense.
Wouldn't make any sense. If he knew what symbiotes were, there's no way he would bring one in for an MRI. And if he didn't know what they were, I don't know how he rose through the ranks of the evil screen organization so quickly. This is maybe one of the weirdest little teases. I genuinely forgot this was in the movie until just as I said it. Anyway, movie stinks. But here's the thing. I think Venom fans will still mostly like it. So like, I'm not surprised it's making an okay amount of money, and I wish it was better. I wish one of these was good, but they fundamentally don't understand what Venom is or what would make him cool. So they're just doing their own thing, but the more lore they add onto it, the more it weighs down all the rest of this stuff. So it can't be fun. That's it. Yeah. Diggins, what do you think of Venom 3, The Last Dance? I can't believe that's Reed Scott or whatever his name is. It's so crazy. I'm just, I'm going to do a little deep dive on Wikipedia just to see if there's any explanation for that. But you go on. Diggins,
all right. I just want to say this isn't really related to my opinion of this movie, but I think Carnage is cool is the most controversial statement Nando has ever made.
Damn.
Carnage is supposed to be like the Joker of the Marvel universe. And I mean that in terms of like, no, but like he's supposed to be like an evil monster guy. Like Hannibal Lecter is cool. Like it's just like cool to see him, you know, be the bad guy. Cause it's like, holy shit, this guy's so scary and crazy. And instead they just made him a goofball.
Carnage is people in the 90s looking at Venom and being like, oh, but he's not hardcore enough.
Yeah.
We need to make an even more extreme Venom.
Exactly. So that could have been sick, but then it's stupid instead. So
no, I mean Carnage is fine, I guess. I don't know. I don't like the character that much, personally.
I do think when written well, the other thing about Carnage is that he does kind of have a little bit of like theatricality to him, where like I was reading a comic recently where he like was meeting with someone and he turned an entire room into a bar and made himself a little bartender, and everything was made of Carnage, and he like made them a drink because he's just like, this is a casual meeting we're having. So like he's fun. But anyway, go on, sir.
Anyway, I feel like we here at this podcast have a complicated relationship with the Venom movies, or at least I do. Where I acknowledge that they're mostly pretty bad. They're not very good movies in most senses, but I have some affection for them because they're incredibly dumb. And Tom Hardy just loves doing a silly voice so much. Yeah. And like, in a lot of ways, that's enough for me. I do think this is the worst one. Because there's not as much Tom Hardy doing a silly voice and being stupid. Like, there's an okay amount of it, but there's not a lot. And like the plot stuff in this one is just so bad.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make any sense and like doesn't flow well, and just kind of like gets introduced, goes nowhere, and then just ends. Like the actual construction and plot of this movie are, I think, the most just like unmitigated bad this series has ever been.
For sure.
So I didn't really like it that much. And I certainly had more fun with the other two. I think there's still some funny moments that we'll be talking about in a little bit, most assuredly. But overall, I think it, other than one thing that I am somewhat impressed that they actually went through with, only because the bar has been made so low. I don't think this is a particularly good capstone for this Venom series. But yeah, that's my thoughts. What about you, DJ?
Yeah, I did like the first Venom movie, and the second one I don't really remember too fondly, but I did not like this one at all, and I think the biggest problem is the one you mentioned, Diggins, is that the plot is bad, and I feel like there were no ideas that this movie had, because circumstances do tighten, but not a lot happens around the circumstances. Vegas is like a weird setting for this movie. Like, I get the whole Area 51 thing they're trying to do, but I think there's just kind of like it's misplaced. I think it's crazy that, you know, I guess we're not spoilery yet, but, you know, we talk about Null, but you might not see a lot of Null in this movie, which is a fucking choice. This is supposed to be your big third capstone movie, and how it ends is also a choice. And I just think it had absolutely nowhere to go. And it's its own fault too. Like, they could have done a thing. I don't know, I'm not like a writer, but like, it feels like whoever they got to write this didn't have a lot of ideas because it's pretty thin.
I would suggest that it wasn't that they didn't have ideas so much as what ideas they did had perhaps were had some other ideas dumped on them by maybe some people who wear suits.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I think that's it.
That's very fair. So this is to lay at the feet of Sony. This, you know, we're gonna call it a failure, which you can or cannot, but I would agree, Diggins. We'll lay that at the feet of the Sony execs. And they have to stop doing this to us. Like, here's a question for you guys, I guess, before we get into the summary that Diggins has to do. Do you guys think this is worse than Madam Web?
In what? In the sense of, did I enjoy Madam Web more, or in the sense of, is this a worse constructed movie than Madam Web?
I mean, I'll take both.
I definitely enjoyed Madam Web more than this.
Like,
yes, 100%.
Right? Yeah, right? Exactly.
But like, is it better or worse? It's probably a better movie.
I think so too. I think it is.
Yeah, it's a better movie than Madam Web. It has like an arc that makes sense. It's just really dumb. And
oh wait, you're saying this is better than Madam Web? No, I think Madam Web is better plot wise than this.
I think Madam Web is just nonsense.
I think it's a real race to the bottom on this one.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I feel like this one is better in the sense that if you're not really paying attention and just people say things and you're kind of like, yeah, okay, that's what's happening. I feel like this one doesn't have as many moments that will like really jar you out of that to be like, wait, hold on. What? Wait. So if that's like Madam Web is constantly doing things where you're like, hold on a second. Wait, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, this movie would die for a she was researching spiders in the Amazon right before she died moment.
Yeah,
like, it just doesn't have anything like that. It's closest it gets is when he dances with the lady, but even that's not that memorable.
Ugh, that's brutal.
But I'll say it's a controversial statement. I think Morbius is better than all of them. I think it's just the most tight movie of all of the group.
I agree.
Yeah. In terms of like having a plot that makes sense and like has some kind of flow to it, sure, but that Morbius is also, I think, in terms of how much I enjoyed it, maybe the worst of these.
I also agree with that. Yeah,
boring.
Yeah, that's you're so right. Yeah, it's they can't get the right balance of like a sensible plot with an enjoyable time. It's just they cannot find that balance, and this movie I think fails, right? Like I said, in plot and enjoyment. But I think the other thing that was my problem with this movie is it really relies on you really remembering what happened in Venom 2 and kind of moving that forward, because we're just like a straight continuation. Like, it almost seems like this movie was meant to come out the next year. By the way, I think we're going to have this problem with whenever the second part of Into the Spider-Verse comes out. Like, we're going to be like, wait, what the fuck happened in that first movie? I do not remember.
Because A, that movie's great, and so I remember it way more clearly than I do Venom 2. And B, that movie's great, so I'm going to rewatch it.
Yeah, I also think this movie is like, I would say the opposite. I think this movie relies on you having not seen Venom 2, because if you saw Venom 2, you're like, wait, if they never talked about this before? Is that like all that times Venom's like, I'm just a loser from my planet who doesn't matter. You're like,
right.
Yeah, that's all he said in the last two movies. Then he shows up in this movie and he's like, also, this hasn't come up, but I have the Codex, so I'm actually the most important symbiote that ever lived. It's all like,
I will say in his defense, it's not like I'm the special symbiote who has the Codex. He's just like, if a symbiote does this specific thing, they get a Codex, and we happen to do that.
Well, I feel like then everybody would have that happen, right?
Oh,
like,
there's way more people in this movie.
Yep.
In this movie alone who should have
it.
Yes.
That's why I assumed that it had to be something like Venom is the first symbiote to escape, so he's the one that had the Codex, and only if these magic, like conditions are met, it will activate. But because
the the way he puts it in the movie, which we'll get to in the summary, I guess, is that any symbiote who like saves someone from dying like that will develop a codex.
Insane.
I guess I'll leave it here. But you know, I guess really from the point from the kind of multiverse switcheroo is insane. I think how that was just like a hard.
I'm so mad that they did this to us. I wanted Tom Hardy's weird little voice to talk to Tom Holland so bad.
Who's Peter Parker? Get me pictures of Spider-Man.
Who? I don't think he said that. I'd remember if he talked about Peter Parker or Spider-Man, because I watched this movie and he didn't do that in this scene, so that never happened, you know?
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I think we're all kind of at the same spot for this one. No one's got a crazy take out there. But Diggins, it is time. It is time for you to give us that glorious, sweet, sweet nectar of a summary for Venom 3.
Yeah, so we start with... you guys know Null? He's this crazy dude who's like evil or something, and there's like some monsters or whatever, and they can teleport, and he's like, I'm gonna be evil and go teleport my monsters.
What's he look like? Can you describe him to everybody? He's so cool.
So imagine a guy, like a human man.
Wow.
And he's got hair that's gray and also, or more white than gray, but also it's long.
Yeah. That's fucking badass.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool as hell. Yeah.
Yep. That's
he's dangerous. He has a sword. I guess that's kind of important.
Well, we don't see that in this movie, and I don't know much outside of this movie.
We kind of see it.
We do a little bit see the sword.
Future sight. He's kind of swinging it or whatever.
I guess
it technically should be the sword that Gore has in the Thor movie, but it's not. But also, Hela had that sword apparently, so who knows? None of it makes sense. But anyway,
who can say?
Yeah.
Anyway, so then we're back on Earth, but not the Earth we should be on because we're in the MCU.
Oh,
Tom Hardy,
finally, this movie's good.
is
all right.
Drunk at a bar being like, purple aliens, ridiculous. But then he teleports back to his regular universe in a teleport portal that looks the same as Null's teleport portals in a very confusing visual indicator that doesn't actually mean anything.
It means nothing. It means negative things. It's done just to trick you.
It means null things.
It means null things. That's right. It means sex things. That's what null means to me, if you ask me.
I mean, everything with Eddie and Venom means sex things, if you know what I'm saying.
That's true. That's very true.
Anyway, so he goes back to his universe in the bar in his universe with the same guy, but, a different man because it's a different universe. Venom makes him a margarita for no particular reason. And then
Is it a margarita?
I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be a margarita.
I think it's supposed to be like a Bloody Mary.
I don't know.
Because he's all hungover. Because he's drunk from the multiverse, baby. It was like, I think it's a different drink. It was so specifically a different drink that I was like, does Tom Hardy have a branded tequila I didn't know about? And I looked it up. I don't think he does, because I think he's like sober. But with these movies, I can never tell. If I ever see alcohol on screen, I just assume that's part of somebody's marketing thing.
Only if somebody ever holds it label out with none of their fingers covering any of the words. That's how you know.
Yeah.
Anyway. So they leave, they go wandering the streets of, I'm not sure where in Mexico they're supposed to be exactly. But they saw a news report about how they're wanted for the murder of Detective Mulligan in San Francisco. The guy who was being taken over by Toxin at the end of the last movie.
Yeah.
So they're like, we got to get out of here. And Eddie's like, I know a guy in New York who I can blackmail. And you're like, oh, this movie's going to take place in New York? And the answer is no.
No, yeah. Also, what do people think happened to Carnage?
I don't know. Nobody even says the word Carnage for this entire movie, so I don't know.
Fascinating that they're all just like, I'm pretty sure Eddie Brock killed this guy. Not that Carnage thing that broke out of prison and everybody saw it. And then it went onto the highway and everybody saw it. And now it's dead.
I think if there's something we learn in this movie, it's that the people in the SPUMC are very, very bad at spotting large, obvious monsters.
That's a great point. They sneak right up on you, yeah.
So yeah, they go wandering through whatever place they're supposed to be in Mexico. I don't think it's ever specified.
They find the first one. It was Tijuana, but I can't remember. And by the first one, I mean the second one. But I'm not positive.
That could be true. They find a dogfighting ring because Venom's hungry, and they're like, "Oh, dogfight, the worst crime imaginable, being mean to a dog."
Mm-hmm.
So they beat up those guys, and then Venom eats their heads. Num 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 num.
Yeah.
And they're like, "We better get out of here." But also, a big monster that we maybe saw with Null earlier just clambers down. And when I say a big monster, I want to be really clear. This thing's the size of a fucking building. This thing is huge.
Yeah, it's like a bus.
And it's just clambering around on the roofs of this place in Mexico, and nobody sees it, including Eddie and Venom.
Yeah, it reminds me of all the Transformers movies where the Transformers just like tiptoe around like people, and everybody's able to just like miss them. Pretty cool.
Then we cut to a woman waking up, remembering how she...
Oh my God. Yeah.
Remembering how when she was a kid, her and her brother talked about how space is cool. And then she got struck by lightning, but the lightning went through her body and through her brother, whose hand she was holding, and through the ground through him, and killed him, but didn't kill her. And I'm like, lightning doesn't really work that way.
Nah.
But whatever. Then she gets a call, and they're like, we got a man, and we're bringing him in. And she's like, oh man. She goes to Area 51, but actually she goes to Area 55, the secret compound under Area 51.
That makes sense.
Because that's where they're studying the symbiotes. They've captured 6 symbiotes who we've never seen before and will never see again.
Wow, we might see them one more time again, but mostly not again.
Possibly. And she studies them along with another woman who I couldn't tell you her name. Sadie?
Sadie, that's right.
That is correct.
Sadie, and I believe this is her name on the wiki, Sadie Christmas. Because she loves Christmas so much. Yep.
Oh, I thought it's not just her name?
No, I don't think it is her name. I think that's like kind of a fan name for her. Because in everything else, she's just named Sadie, like in the marketing. But I think they've decided she's Sadie Christmas.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
So they're the scientists here studying these symbiotes, and General Strickland, Chiwetel Ejiofor, shows up and is like, I don't like aliens. I think we should kill them. But we're going to talk to him instead. And so they wake up Detective Strickland, who they put in... I'll be very... They're very specific about this, and it's so funny to me.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of Venom 2, Toxin bonded with Detective Strickland. And
That's
here
right.
they're like, so that Toxin symbiote bonded with him. And then it unbonded and left. And we found him and put a new other symbiote in him.
Yep.
In the most pointless maneuver I can imagine.
Yeah, I completely could not figure that out, besides they want to use Toxin in the future, which would be insane because, like, you can barely sell these movies as Venom movies. Like, who gives a shit about Toxin?
Everyone's favorite symbiote.
Yeah.
Toxin.
And, like, yeah, it's so bizarre.
They talk to him, and he's like, "Bro, there's an evil man coming."
Yeah, he does.
And then we cut back to Eddie and Venom, who are like hanging on to the side of an airplane because that's how they're going to get to New York City.
Yes, New York City.
But the xenophage is the name of these monsters. Can spot him in a really confusingly shot sequence where it feels like this happens immediately after we last saw the xenophage. even though we cut away and then back, which implies that time has gone by, especially since like it's daytime now and it was night when they last saw the xenophage. The xenophage shows up and fights them on top of the plane in a sequence that is just all kinds of not following physics. The plane is still flying and moving like normal.
Yeah,
but
crazy stuff.
They're just like fighting on top of it like it's a Smash Brothers stage.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's the xenophage gets sucked up into one of the jet engines, and then Eddie and Venom jump off and do a little symbiote parachute to not die. We see some like hippies straight out of the 1970s for some reason.
Yep.
Who are looking for aliens near Area 51. A hippie family, to be clear. It's a husband, a wife, and 2 kids, plus their
a very Rasputinish kind of guy, if you ask me. He's got certain lizardy Rasputiny qualities.
One could say that. And they're like, we hope we see some aliens, and they drive right through the remains of the xenophage without realizing it. And then, in full view on a plain, open road with literally no one else on it besides them, directly behind them, the xenophage reforms and like roars, and they do not notice.
They're like, it's rocks. We ran over some rocks, guys. They've hit people before, I think, this family.
If you don't notice the alien remains that are falling from the sky are alien remains, like whatever. Like, why would you be thinking that? It must be visible in the rear view mirror that this monster is reforming in behind them immediately afterwards.
Without a doubt.
But yeah, establishing that the xenophage is indestructible, except when it's not.
Yeah. Indestructible-ish.
So Venom explains that was a xenophage. It comes from our creator, who's named Null, who's a bad dude who we locked away in a prison because of how bad he is.
Wow.
But because I saved you from dying in one of the previous movies,
it's the end of the first one.
I think so. They straight up show a flashback clip of Venom doing it, and even then I was like, I don't know which movie that is.
Yeah, same.
Because of that, and Nando and I were discussing this earlier on the pod, a codex has formed because their like life forces have intertwined, and the codex is the key to unlocking Null's prison. As long as the 2 of them are alive, this codex will continue to exist. The xenophage can see the codex when Venom is in full control of Eddie's body. And so they got to be careful about doing Venom transformations because the xenophage instantly knows when they do that and instantly knows where they are.
Yep. So funny.
A lesson that they say explicitly out loud right now and then seem to forget later.
Mm-hmm.
So they keep going. They get found by General Strickland and his guys, and they're like, "Uh-oh." The General Strickland's guys try to kill Eddie and capture Venom. They do like a fight in a river. It's close, but and Venom has to fully take over Eddie to save him from falling down a waterfall, even though the guy he's with also lives through it.
Yeah, that's true.
To be fair to Venom here, that guy shouldn't have fallen off a waterfall. Pretty bad news.
Yeah.
But because Venom took over, the xenophage knows where they are and shows up and kills the rest of the soldier men, while Eddie and Venom make their escape. General Strickland's all like, this big alien killed my guys. I'm so mad. And the scientists are like, whoa, that's crazy. Did you get like a sample or something? Because like this, we literally can't tell you anything if you didn't. And he's like, how dare you disrespect the troops?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Eddie runs into the hippies who are just like camping out in the desert. And he hangs out with them for a while. It's a whole thing, but none of it really matters.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like the quiet, humanizing scene of Eddie and Venom being like, it would be cool if we got to live a normal life.
Yeah, because they didn't have a family.
They don't have a family.
They're meaningless.
And Venom's like, why don't you call
them.
Michelle Williams? And Eddie's like, no, she costs too much money.
Yeah, she was too expensive. We just cannot afford her.
Yeah, fair.
He ends up in Las Vegas. The hippies take him to Las Vegas, so he gets dropped off there. Meanwhile, General Strickland shows back up, and the unnamed symbiote that took over Detective Mulligan talks to them some more and is like, there's a bad man in space, and Venom has a key in his brain that will let the bad man out. So if you want to stop the bad man from killing everybody, you got to kill Eddie and or Venom. General Strickland's like, sounds good to me, and goes off to do that.
Yeah, it's such a coincidence. I was already going to do that earlier today. Would have really fixed all this shit if we just were able to kill him earlier like we wanted to.
Absolutely. And so you're like, all right, so now that you know that the fate of all of humanity rests on at least one of those two dying, next time you have access to one of them, especially the vulnerable human one who can just be shot in the head and that's it, you'll just kill him right away, right? And General Strickland just sort of gives you the look like Anakin from that meme format. And then you, the audience, are like, so you'll just kill him right away, right? Anyway, we're in Vegas. The kindly hippies give Eddie some shoes because it's a running gag in this movie that he keeps losing his shoes, and some money. And they go off. Venom's like, we should get more money by gambling in the casinos. And then there's a whole like sequence where they got to knock some guys out and then steal some nice clothes to get into a casino. It doesn't matter. They lose all their money immediately on the slots. But they see Mrs. Chen. Whoa, remember Mrs. Chen, guys?
We could afford her.
I do. They could afford her. She's from Into the Spider-Verse.
That's true.
Or Across the Spider-Verse, whatever the second one was.
Yeah. And she's like, whoa, it's so good to see you guys. Let's hang out. So they go up because she's won a ton of money in the casino. She's apparently a very good gambler. By good gambler, I mean gambling is 99% luck. So they hang out for a little bit. They have a weird scene where Venom and Mrs. Chen dance to a cover of Dancing Queen, even though, again, they know that if they transform, the xenophage knows where they are.
It's crazy choice by them.
And last time they transformed, at least Eddie or Tom, or one of them was like, somebody was like, I think Eddie was like, but if we transform, he's going to find us. And then Venom's like, but otherwise you'll die. And you're like, all right, that is a conundrum. But like, it's something that they actively are almost avoiding, but cannot. But the music, ABBA.
Well, again, it's a cover. It's not ABBA.
That's true.
So the xenophage shows up immediately, like busts down the penthouse that they're in. And is like, roar, I'm a monster. But then also General Strickland and his guys show up, and the xenophage, I think, just fucking leaves.
Yeah, I couldn't remember how this scene ends. Does anybody have a good answer for this one?
I think I remember, but I'm going to save it for a wheel slice I have later.
Okay.
Anyway, General Strickland shows up. They use a sonic gun weapon to knock Venom off of Eddie. They capture Venom. And then they shoot Eddie in the head, thus solving the problem forever, and that's the end of the movie. Right, guys? That's how it goes?
We did it.
Yep.
Wait, hold on. Sorry. I was just thinking about it some more. And actually, no, they just capture Eddie.
Yeah.
And bring him back to Area 55, which is, remember, underneath Area 51.
You know why they do that? It's because of that damn tree-hugging hippie, not the regular hippies, but that hippie Dr. Payne who wants to love the aliens instead of kill them like General Strickland does, you know? So if he'd listen to him and we didn't listen to her, we'd all be fine. But
she's like not in, but like she's not in charge though.
Yeah, it's unclear who's in charge. I mean, obviously it's the Dan Egan from the first movie, but he does seem to answer to somebody, and it seems like there are like 50-50 owners of Area 55, where she's like, I want to do experiments, and he's like, I don't like it when you do them, but there's no back and forth. I don't know, it's weird.
But he does call Reed Scott from the last two movies and says, can I be in charge now? And Reed Scott's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, whatever.
Feels like he could have done that at any time, considering how much he seems to care, but whatever. So they're like, Grr, we're going to shoot you now, Eddie Brock. We could have done that at any time before now.
Yeah.
But we waited for you to be knocked out, then wake up in a little prison, and then we came down to see you again, and now we'll shoot you. But Sadie Christmas apparently decided to free Venom, because for 2 frames she turns into She-Venom.
That's
and
right.
Then Venom immediately goes over to Eddie to save him from being shot to death by General Strickland. And then he fights him for a little bit. But because he transformed fully, the Xenophage did follow them here. So the Xenophage is already in the base, but now it goes nuts because it can sense that there's a codex here.
Yeah.
So everyone goes to deal with the Xenophage because it's a big, scary monster. And Eddie and Venom free all the other... Well, actually, I guess the scientists actually free the symbiotes. But
yeah, I think they press one big button and all the things come up, and then... Yeah.
But they say, like, Eddie and Venom... Well, no, the other symbiote is like, you should free the symbiotes. And so they do it. I don't know.
Right, because what's-his-name gets involved. Well, the cop tries to stop the Xenophage and gets eaten up. What does happen in this scene?
Okay, so here's what happens. So, so, like, Eddie and Detective Strickland are being held in, like, the same area, although in different cells. So as the Xenophage shows up and shit starts popping off, they both escape. And Detective Strickland's symbiote is like, we got to free the others, and you guys should run away because they want you.
Wait, hold on. Not Detective Strickland, Detective Mulligan.
Sorry, Detective Mulligan, sorry.
Yeah.
So then everyone goes to the main room where there's a big fight, and the 2 scientists let the other symbiotes out. And they start taking over the bodies of just random people who work in this lab. Also, Detective Mulligan shows up to fight, and like in 2 seconds, the Xenophage just eats him up. Yum, 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 yum.
Yeah, the
and I was like,
Xenophage is
that
like...
seems pretty unceremonious for a character who seemed vaguely important until now.
Vaguely important is the key word in all of these characters and everything that happens in this movie. You're like, no, that guy in the screens, he seems vaguely important, but he's not really, nobody is.
Anyway, that happens like 4 more times. He just eats up most of the symbiotes here. While they have a big fight that doesn't go anywhere. Eddie and Venom and everyone else escape into Area 51, where the hippies have shown up because they broke into Area 51 to see it before it got closed down, because that was a plot point. They're closing down Area 51.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're caught in the middle of the big alien fight. And again, there's just like a whole back and forth of like the symbiotes that aren't Eddie and Venom fight the Xenophage and then are losing. And then Eddie and Venom do something. And then it's like, the Codex. And then they untransform. And then the symbiotes fight him some more. And General Strickland is also trying to help and kills one of the symbiote people. And then Dr. Christmas is all mad. Like, they're trying to help you, you dumb. So he doesn't really have a change of heart. There's just a bigger, scarier monster here.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got that back and forth like several times. They save the hippie family. They straight up do the full like character like smashes into enemy in a car, pulls up, throws open the door, and is like, "Get in!" And then don't do a car chase.
Oh yeah,
it's so weird.
Just quietly drives them home.
Mm-hmm. Well, they don't even drive away at first. They just keep standing there until there's a second distraction that they start driving away from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Eddie and Venom try to like draw the more xenophages show up, by the way, because Null is like, because it does a big scream that I guess it didn't feel was necessary until now.
Yep.
That can be heard through all of space.
Mm-hmm.
Where Null is like, a big scream. They found a codex. Send more of my guys. And one more xenophage shows up.
Yeah.
More show up after that, but like for the next 5 to 10 minutes of this action scene, it's just one more xenophage.
The other xenophages are on their phones. You know, they missed the update that it's xenophage time.
They're too busy playing Pokemon Pocket. They're like,
those damn millennial xenophages.
Yeah, those millennials.
So they lead him away on a motorcycle. They do more fighting. What does and does not kill a xenophage becomes deeply unclear to me, because at one point they like cut off one's head and that seems to work. Or like one gets blown up by a rocket launcher and that seems to work, but getting blown up by a rocket launcher doesn't work before that.
Yeah. I feel like the rocket launcher thing, it's very confusing.
But they realize they can't beat the xenophages. They're too strong. So Eddie and Venom are like, the only way to end this is if we die, and then there's no more codex. So they transform, they turn into a big goo that sucks up all the xenophages and drag them over to a big acid bath that was going to be used to decommission Area 51. And are like,
is that what that was for?
Yeah, we breaking down all this stuff.
We saw General Strickland earlier use it to like destroy a building in Area 51, which seemed wildly unnecessary.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's a little car wash for acid. Mm-hmm. Did they move it or did they put things under it?
I don't know. It seems like you'd have to put things under it because it's so big.
Right?
It doesn't seem like it's not got wheels on it or anything. It's just like built in the middle of the place.
Yeah.
Anyway. They go. So they drag all the xenophages over and are like, General Strickland, turn on all the acid. But at the last second before all the acid goes down, Venom vomits up Eddie and is like, no, Eddie, you should live and I'll just die. So they all melt in acid. It takes fucking forever for some reason.
It really does.
And then also they explode.
Mm-hmm.
And the explosion, they explode because General Strickland pulls out a grenade and sets it off. And that makes the acid explode because it's combustible acid, I guess.
It's green.
Super acid,
yeah. The worst kind of acid.
Eddie lives because Venom put a big steel door on top of him so he wouldn't die. The two scientists are running away and they're gonna die from explosion, but then Dr. Payne crushes the last symbiote in her hand and it becomes Agony.
Wow.
The symbiote Agony, everyone's favorite.
From Fortnite?
From Fortnite, that's right.
Oh, from Marvel Snap?
That's right.
Yeah, technically, recently.
So then she saves the other scientist and they're okay too. And then Eddie wakes up in a hospital room where some random general is like, we've decided that you didn't do any crimes because you did just save the entire universe. But don't tell anyone about this. Goodbye forever.
Diggins, some random general. He had 4 stars on his shoulder. So
he was pretty high up on the general list, if you ask me.
I mean, listen, there are 4-star generals. There are no Hitler's generals, DJ. Let's be real.
Oh my God. That's like the 8th time Hitler's come up on this podcast. Blame the Kingsman game or Kingsman movie that features him heavily. But
other than the Kingsman, is this our heaviest Hitler pod ever?
It's gotta be. Yeah. These Kingsman movies, they met an end that I feel like we should have seen coming, but but
then Eddie is in New York City. New York City.
Yeah. Greatest city on earth.
That's right. It is. And is like, I'm sad that Venom is dead, but we saved the universe. And then that's the end of the movie.
What do you mean? There's 2 post-credit scenes that directly contradict much of what happened in the movie.
Right. The first post-credit scene, Null is still there, and he's like, "Grr, you stop me now, but I'll be back, and I want you." and looks at Rhodes and is like, "You're gonna watch me do it." And I'm like, if the box office trends remain as they are, I'm not sure that we will.
Yeah.
Not most of us, anyway. And then there's a second post-credit scene where the bartender from the beginning of the movie, because the military men had knocked him out and captured him, wanders through the ruins of Area 51. Like, what the hell happened? And then we see a cockroach, like, nibble up against a little vial and maybe get some symbiote juice on it.
Wow.
And that's the end of the movie.
Incredible. That's pretty much it, right? Yeah.
Good job,
Diggins. And if you're like, that kind of didn't seem like it went anywhere, and then you seem like you got to the ending out of nowhere, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. That's what the movie's like.
Yeah. Little montage was like a little montage that would come up.
Oh yeah,
Venom died in real life or something.
I was about to say, they have the like Paul Walker in the 7th Fast and Furious movie montage of all scenes from the previous Venom movies for Venom, like he died in real life. It's really funny.
It's so good.
Yeah. It's been a long day.
Hey, can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
I think it's more tasteful than the Paul Walker one.
Wow.
Wow. Damn indeed. But you know what? You know what Paul Walker loved, by the way?
What did he love?
Wheels.
Oh, he did.
Fast and Furious movies.
He loved them so much that they were his undoing.
That's true. Live by the wheel, die by the wheel, I guess. But we're going to talk about Venom: The Last Dance in wheel form. You guys, I have a wheel full of Venom: The Last Dance things.
Wow.
You can't wait to see them, can you?
No, I can't.
I want them so bad.
I'm going to spin the wheel. Tick, 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 tick. Oh, it landed on one of DJ's. DJ's, can you read this wheel thing?
Yeah, of course I can. And we're going to go with Eddie's death sentence, ?
Is Eddie sentenced to death?
So here's the thing, guys. I was under the impression that Eddie Brock was alive didn't he, unless I'm confusing my Marvel movies, which is totally possible, I thought he had some kind of terminal illness that like was killing him. That
Actually, you're thinking of this backwards. He was being killed by being bonded to Venom. Like all his organs were shutting down and he was like, you're going to die if you keep being with Venom. But then at the end of Venom 1, Venom is like, I don't kill you anymore, Eddie. And it just stops being a problem.
Oh, right. Oh, my God.
And in the comics, Eddie Brock does have cancer. It's like a retcon they did kind of recently. And Venom was tricking him into thinking he was going to cure his cancer, but not doing it. But then when he became anti-Venom, that cured his cancer. So
I see.
It would have made sense as a plot point here, but it doesn't work.
So it was all a ruse. Well, all right. So that's wrong. But I want to talk about this ending in more detail, regardless. So, one, I think it's funny that Venom dies from acid. It's like acid is like Venom, acid. Like I just think that's true. Like, funny.
Also, Venom has two very clear and well-defined weaknesses, neither of which are acid.
Yeah, both weaknesses that like the whatever. What are we calling the team that's Strickland? Are they ever named this team?
The Imperium, I think.
Oh
yeah, that's right. Because it's weird because originally everybody thought they were the jury because that's what that is in the comics, the symbiote hunting guys. But like the Imperium, because you're right, that is what they call them in this. They have like a symbiote hunting kit that is pretty good. You can easily separate a symbiote from its host, like with the sonic weapons that you've always been like, where the fuck are these? They don't seem to have really gone in on the flamethrower thing, but that would also hypothetically work. And then all the missiles are also kind of flamethrowers when you think about it. So yeah, they should be able to knock out a symbiote in like a minute.
But I guess xenophages have different weaknesses.
Xenophages have no weaknesses, I would say. I can't think about any that they have besides that goo.
I have another wheel slice for this, so we don't need to talk about it right now. But yeah, you know, This movie does seem to imply, and I don't remember if this was a thing in the earlier ones, that Venom will die without Eddie.
Yeah, I don't remember if that was the thing in the early ones either.
Yeah, I mean, well, I thought that was all the symbiotes. Like they needed the host. I don't know what's keeping all of the ones alive in these tubes.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like symbiotes don't need hosts. They just can't really do anything if they don't have one.
Right. They're just, kind of floating about in space. So anyway, that was one thing on the death that I just the acid death is funny. The other thing is that door would not have saved Eddie. I know it's cute that Venom takes that door and like lays on top of Eddie, but it's like he's gonna die.
What? DJ, are you telling me that a movie did not accurately portray the effects of being near an explosion?
Yeah, I mean, that is true. That's like something they love. Also funny how it's like, oh, it's fine that the acid's rating on it, but like you mentioned, the other two doctors like running away from it hilariously. It's like a weird ratcheting up of the stakes at the end. That, by the way, the movie took no work to be like, because the whole movie, it's like, Eddie, the only way out of this is for one of us to die. And it's like, oh, well, surely they'll find a way out. They just don't. Like, it's like, no, that's the way it's gotta go down. And it's like, well, it was a long road to get here, and I hated it. So
I think there was a way for that to work. Yeah, yes.
They should have named that for. They could have got him back for this. Wiz Khalifa or whoever that was.
I think there is a way for that to work in a sort of like the inevitability of death kind of like metaphor way, where it's like, yes, they spend all this time trying to avoid it. They're trying to look for alternate solutions, but ultimately, you can't avoid death. And like you have to
guys can't, but I can.
Oh no! If I will achieve immortality or die trying.
Yeah.
Just like everyone else on Earth. But yeah, like you can't avoid it. You have to accept it and face it. Like I think there is absolutely a way for that to work as the plot. I don't think the movie's really doing that, but I think it is a thing that could work.
I mean, go ahead, Nando's. Yeah.
I mean, this movie is allergic to rules about symbiotes. So like to figure out a way, to figure out some sort of like, oh, Eddie, if we can only reverse the polarity of our symbiosis, we could fix this. They'd have to have a rule that would be that they'd follow, and the characters would have to explain it to other characters, and they just can't do that in these movies anymore. For some reason, they used to kind of have those, and even then, they didn't really hold up in the original movies. But like this movie, fucking scene to scene, just rewrites what symbiotes are, what they can do, what they're allergic to, what they're not allergic to. So like the idea that, because you would have to have that, you have to have some sort of mechanism to like get like kind of like in Avengers, right? Because that's the same thing. Thanos is coming for the stones, and you want one character who's like tooling with it in the background. They're like, oh, if I can remove the codex using this DNA anti-venom serum we have, we can maybe save you guys. And then that fails. But yeah. Just don't do
I was going to say, this isn't a good example because this is also a bad movie. But yeah, that Avengers thing is exactly like how that could work.
Yeah, I mean, they even do the same thing in the fucking other Avengers movie where it's like, oh, we got to get the thing into the little car, and then we get it into the car and Thanos can't use it. And then that gets destroyed. But like, they just need a plan. And this movie could not, I mean, when would they even come up with it? They'd have to, only there was some sort of alien specialist who they meet along the way who could give them some sort of piece of alien advice, but...
You think Rhys Ifans should be able to tell them, like, hey, man, maybe if you, like, I don't know, like, took your symbiosis and sort of, like, put it through a magnesioscope polarizer, and then, like, that would destroy the codex, man.
For real, though, that is the movie. It should be, Rhys Ifans should spend the whole alien thing just ranting about one thing. Like, they got cosmic rays up there, man. They've been focusing cosmic radiation, doing all this stuff. And then in the end of the movie, they're like trying to figure out what button to press to kill the symbiote thing. And then Eddie's like, wait a second, that guy was right about that one thing. And then they use that to cure the whatever it is. What's it called again? Codex. They used that to destroy the Codex or something, because that was technically, because I think the idea, first of all, the idea that they are alien creeps, or not creeps, kooks, makes no sense if there are aliens, right? So Area 51 was a real place that had aliens at one point in this universe. So if they are people that studied that, they'd have some knowledge, maybe not about symbiotes, but about something. You know, they'd be able to contribute, but. No.
Yeah, and I guess that's like where my main problem is. It comes with like this climactic scene. Is it ends on such like a fart, because it's just like the the symbiote fight, I guess, is like kind of cool. That was my other like brief nitpick, and you guys already said it, but that there would be 1,000 codexes for the amount of symbiotes that are saving people at the end of this movie. It's just insane.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In almost every case except for Dr. Christmas, the symbiote takes over someone because it's being killed by the xenophage, so they go over and save them, and then keep fighting. Like, they should all have codexes.
The codex is everywhere. It's a codex Christmas. I just think it ends on such a duck fart, and I don't think the symbiote fight's particularly interesting, so it's just kind of meh. So I don't really care for it.
Wow. Incredible.
I know. I'm such a loser.
Do you think Venom farts? Like the Venom symbiote?
That's a good
Probably
question.
not, right?
I mean, I don't know. Based on what they eat.
I mean,
right?
Yeah.
I don't
Chocolate.
think the symbiotes can't eat without a host, though, right? Like, they don't possess a digestive system independently.
Right.
I don't know, because sometimes they have little mouths. But yeah, I think that's right. They don't have like a digestive system. If anything, the mouth is just for fun.
It's just to be scary.
Yeah. They're pretty scary sometimes.
They are pretty
Not
scary.
in these movies, but like they could be. I'm going to spin the wheel again. Tick, 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 tick. Oh, it landed on one of Diggins's. Diggins, would you like to read this one to us?
Absolutely. This one is called Sir Only Appearing in the Rewrites.
Oh, who's that?
Let's talk about Null, guys.
Oh, no. What are you talking about?
No.
He's like the backbone of the movie. He can't have been in only rewrites. He was pre-writes. The first thing they wrote on the napkin was Venom 3 equals Null. That was definitely how that went.
Yeah, it's definitely not weirdly shoehorned into the clearly much more developed and prominent plot about being hunted by people.
And
It's
xenophages.
Xenophages.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, let's talk about Null. So, as Nando pointed out, Null is a character who was made 6 years ago in the comics, in a huge retcon about what the symbiotes even are.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know anything about Null, really, other than that. Like, I knew that basic information, that he was like symbiote god that they added in as a retcon. I couldn't believe that Null is just a guy.
Yeah.
I was like, did they not want to like do CGI? Why is he just a guy?
He's just a guy. He's got a weird face sometimes. Sometimes he has big, giant smile teeth that make him look kind of like the Joker when the Joker's drawn like that. But that would be too silly, so they didn't do that here. So, yeah, he's just a guy. Kind of spindly, usually. Like, he's usually also... He looks a lot like Mr. Tiny or whatever his name was in that last fucking... No, not Mr. Tiny. Mr. Big in that last movie. The Vampire's Apprentice. But...
Do you mean Ray Stevenson?
No, I'm thinking of the guy who was in... Who was the guy with the big giant head? Ken Watanabe's character.
Ken Watanabe, yes. It was Mr. Big, you're right.
Because he's got like... Because, yeah...
Mr. Tall? I think Mr. Tall.
Mr. Tall, that's it, yeah. Mr.
Even
Big's the
worse
one from Sex and the City. He should have been in this.
That's right. Which actually, what if they were the same person? What if Sex and the City just had a big Ken Watanabe?
Yeah. That would be pretty funny. If I knew more Sex and the City stuff, I could make some pretty funny jokes about this, but I don't. I've never seen it. But it seems like kind of thing Venom would like, you know? You know how like they give these characters a thing to like ironically? Same way like Deadpool likes the Golden Girls, where like Venom would be watching Sex and the City and Eddie Brooke, but turn that off, Venom. And Venom would be like, no, I love the Mirandas or whatever. That would be that might have been in one of these.
Eddie, please.
Yeah. Eddie, I am a Samantha. Eddie, I know more Sex and the City.
You are such a carry.
Yeah. But yeah, no, he's there. And he's in these now. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Nando, as the only person here who's ever even heard of Null before this movie.
How dare you?
Yeah,
have you heard
DJ
of Null
loves
Null.
Null.
Oh, prominent character in Marvel Snap. Prominent archetype for all display.
And that's him in the comics too. He is introduced by, I want to say like Venom is like, there was a god of symbiotes. He was 6 ghosts with 0 power, but he had an ongoing ability. You'll never believe it. And he said it. That's all. That was all true.
Why don't you tell us a little bit of your thoughts about Null, Nando? Because I would love to.
They're bad. Null's bad. Because they keep retconning the symbiotes. That's the funny thing about the symbiotes is every 4 or 5 years they retcon them. Because right before Null, there's this thing where like symbiotes were all like interspace heroes. Like they were like the Clintar was like a like race of people who were kind of born to, it was almost like Green Lanterns. But then it turned out that's not what it is. They're, in fact, agents of this guy named Null, who's from the 7th universe, which was all black and darkness, who was imprisoned by the Celestials when they came to our universe, the 8th universe. And then, so then he wanted to get out of his little prison. And to do that, he had to get Venom, I think, or something. The Venom in the comics is, like, important. Sometimes I think he's the first symbiote or something like that. But also there's all kinds of other rules of symbiotes that they just ignore. But yeah, Null's boring. Null's stupid. He's just like kind of another Thanos, but without any goals besides black and darkness and stuff. And he makes all the symbiotes look the same. They all have a weird spiral head, which is kind of what the Codex looks like in this. This is the closest we've gotten to those.
Kinda.
But like in the video game, they do that a lot, where if you're like just a plain old symbiote without like a personality, just a big red spiral for your face.
Like Uzumaki.
Exactly, like Uzumaki, like first episode Uzumaki. Not like the bad episodes that everyone loves. I see on Twitter all the time. Do you guys watch that Uzumaki show?
No.
Have you seen any of the clips of the bad episodes?
I know what you're talking about, yes.
Wild. Like absolutely insane that they thought they could do that. But that's Zaslav for you. But yeah, no, Null's boring. And yeah, the part of symbiote lore doesn't really make any sense. I really do think when they invented Null, whoever this was, Donny Cates, I think, they came up with the idea that like the word Clintar in their, Clintar was always their species name and also the name of their planet was also their species word for prison. And that was like a really badass idea that everybody probably in the boardroom went clapped when they had that idea. And then they were like, that we're doing Null stuff from now on. But, yeah.
I do want to say in support of my my theory that Null was a creature of rewrites and studio mandate. They did announce that the Sinister Six movie that's coming out, Null is going to be the main villain of.
I've heard this, but I can't find it confirmed anywhere. But I have seen I saw this report today also.
All right,
which is so funny.
Maybe that's not real because Nando, who definitely knows more about this than me, says it's not confirmed.
I saw it.
That's what I
did
heard.
see this. I did see this rumor popping off today. And if that's true, it's really funny because I don't know. It just seems pretty above all of their pay grades. I don't see any of the members of the Sinister Six besides Venom, who is now dead, being useful in dealing with Null.
You don't think Morbius, the living vampire, would be able to will be able to morb out all over Null?
I mean, I guess he would have darkness-related powers too. See, that's the thing. Morbius isn't even a real vampire. So, like, the living vampire thing kind of beats, like, the same way that, like, Blade would be empowered by Null. I don't know if Morbius even would. He's like a science vampire. It's not the same thing.
And they'd also have Madam Web with them telling the future.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah. They're not gonna have any problems if Madam Web is there. And they got
she'll be able to see all the Pepsi signs that will kill Null.
So many.
Yeah. It's funny that she's in the Sinister Six in this like weird one. Because like she's not a bad guy even in her movie. Like it's not even like Venom where it's like, oh, she's actually the hero, but everyone thinks she's a bad guy. At least maybe they still think she killed all those cops that one time. But
right, but we're saying reasons why she would be a villain instead of a hero.
Right, exactly. Why villain instead of hero.
Well, she has her whole like squad now, right? She's
That's
got
true.
A whole stable of heroes.
Presumably, by the time of the present day in the Venom verse,
Oh yeah, that's
they
true.
would be heroes by now, right?
Yeah.
Also, all in their like 40s at least.
Yeah.
They were all like 10 in 1993,
like
I think. Or no, wait, that was 2000. And when does that take place? 2003. It's after 9/11.
Yeah, it's very recently after 9/11.
So yeah, they're in their 30s.
Guys. That's how we know.
That's right.
Toxic
Toxic
was out.
The year before Toxic came out, but yeah. What did you guys think of Noel? Did you love him?
Yeah, I mean, Andy Serkis did a great job.
Yeah.
I'll get the codex.
He literally shows up at the very beginning of the movie to be like, I'm an evil man.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I think we see a couple glimpses of him throughout the rest of the movie whenever xenophage stuff is popping off.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, he's like, I'm going to be an evil man in future movies.
Which is so weird considering his codex is dead or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, what's his plan?
Yeah, I really could not figure this, like, because I thought the beginning stuff was dumb. What it feels like is the stuff in the beginning is the rewrite stuff, and the stuff in the end is the real stuff. And
okay.
Having never seen Noel, we'd be like, "Oh, Noel's out here somewhere," and then in the end, they'd show Noel, and we'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's probably what it is."
Oh, the beginning is definitely like test audience stuff, because the whole first scene is just him being like, my name is Null, here's my whole deal, I'm in a prison, and if I get something from Venom, then I get out, so I'm sending my monsters to capture Venom so I can escape my prison. It's like,
and it's such
really making sure everyone in the audience knows what's going on.
And it's such good exposition that we get it again from Venom and again from Toxin later in the movie.
Yeah, that's the
so
other
important.
way you can tell something is a test audience thing, when all that information gets repeated by other people.
Yeah.
I'm like, test audience stuff. Like, listen, I'm not saying you shouldn't do test audience things, but like, I feel like either, or maybe both even, maybe there's blame to go out to all parties here. People who give the feedback like, I didn't really understand what was happening there. It's like, I don't think they were paying attention.
Yeah.
I don't think we can take their feedback, because all this, it's like, I'm not saying the movie's good or like makes a lot of sense, but all the stuff gets said in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But then furthermore, I don't think the answer to, people don't really understand what Noel's whole deal is put a scene at the beginning of the movie where Noel says what his whole deal is.
Yeah.
But maybe that's the secret.
Maybe. I mean, it made a lot of money, so maybe this is all movies should start doing this. They should all, like, what's coming out soon?
Gladiator 2.
Gladiator 2 should start with Noel explaining the plot of Gladiator 1 a little bit, you know. Marcus Aurelius was a man, the husband to a dead wife, blah, blah, blah. This is Marcus 2 or whatever.
Commodus.
Then, yeah, right, yeah. Then you got, you know, same in all the rest of the movies, because I think this was pretty helpful for me to be like, oh, the movie's going to be bad. Like, immediately.
Yeah,
like,
that's how you knew.
They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They fucked it up
good point.
immediately. Yeah. It's not like Joker, where for a second you're like, are they? Oh, okay. This is interesting.
Maybe we got something here.
This is kind of
Yeah,
something.
a little cartoon. Ooh.
That's a bold choice. This is something.
Yeah. But no, instead it's like, I'm Noel, the bad guy. The one from all the trailers that you just started seeing a lot of.
Yeah, I wonder why.
The one that everybody's going to say facing away from the camera. No. Also, I could not get over, my favorite line in this movie is a Noel. It's not a Noel line. He doesn't say it, but it's about Noel. And it's not even the line. The line is stupid, but the way it's read is insane. Is what's his name? Detective McDougal or whatever.
Mulligan?
What is it? Mulligan, yeah. When he's doing his little symbiote monologue to the other scientists and the guys, and he's saying it like kind of like him. He's like, no, he's out there somewhere. And then like the lights flicker or some shit, and he turns into symbiote voice, but it's not like mastered properly, or something's wrong with it, because it just sounds like, the darkness has teeth. Remember that? That was bad. They did a really bad job.
I do appreciate with all the symbiotes, as long as we're talking about like rewrites and reshoots and stuff, that they're just so like resigned to the idea that everything's gonna get like reshot and re-recorded to hell that they don't even try to make the symbiotes have realistic mouth movements.
Yeah.
They're just always just kind of like so that like it could theoretically be any line that they decide Tom Hardy should be saying.
They're saying, right? Just audience, use your imagination and figure it out.
We get an awful lot of symbiote punch up in this movie. A lot of symbiotes going like saying a joke that's off screen or something. My favorite one was when he says, what's the line? Oh, it's when he's like, I hated the multiverse. Let's leave the multiverse forever or something.
Like, no more of this multiverse shit.
Did you even know you're in the multiverse, Venom? Who told you? Doctor Strange didn't tell you. You were at the bar the whole time.
I do kind of like that as the screenwriters being like, they made us include that thing at the end of the last one, and now we have to deal with it.
We're so fucking mad about it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Yeah, it's all real strange.
But hey, Nando, why don't we spin that wheel again?
Spin it again. Here we go. Tick, 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 tick. Oh, it landed on one of mine. This is the one rule symbiotes they keep breaking. This is the first time they had a host compatible with one of our symbiotes. Which is a line that is spoken when they're describing why Agent Mulligan is able to bond with this green one. Which, because went into this movie and then like left the movie knowing less about how these symbiotes are supposed to work in this movie than when I came in. But like in the first movie, because I had to look this up, Carlton Drake has the symbiotes and they keep killing the people that they're hosts of. But it's because he's not feeding the people. So the symbiotes are eating the hosts. Now there is some sort of like better or worse. Like Venom and Eddie are a good pair because they are similar. And like hypothetically, a bad pair could exist where you would just bond somebody not well, but they would hypothetically still be able to be symbiotes or something. But now it seems that, and I'm sure they've been trying constantly, the only time this lab has ever been able to get a symbiote to bond with somebody is Mulligan, because he's already bonded with a different symbiote, which is like pretty crazy, which is especially crazy in this movie when in the end, the symbiotes just turn into little hats everybody could just put on and take off and put on and take off. Like I kind of thought maybe what's her name? Christmas was like, she is a friend to the symbiotes in a way that's like, maybe they would love her so much or something. But it was like when the first guy gets his not evil symbiote, when the first guy gets his like symbiote and turns into the punching symbiote, it's just some fucking guy. Like a random security guard who gets stabbed and everybody's like, oh no. That stunk. That was really bad.
Yeah.
I liked the symbiotes bits. Like I thought they were kind of fun, but I think
all 12 seconds of them.
I like that they gave them little differences. You guys, let's talk through some of the symbiotes. Let's remember them all fondly. So the first one we got is, let's say, we're not calling him Toxin, but even on the wiki he's called Toxin, so whatever. The green snake symbiote that gets immediately eaten by the lawnmower bug. Right. That thing is like, it's got a body that's like a snake. So I don't know what they're going for with him. What do we think of him? Was he cool?
It's cool that he's like a snake man.
Yeah, snake men are cool.
Yeah. I also like, someone pointed this out. They were like, maybe they didn't do Toxin because Toxin looks a lot like Carnage and Venom because he's their child, or like a child of them. Oh. But there's also already another green one in this movie, so that wouldn't even make sense because this is not a unique color they've given him. In fact, blue and green seem to be the two colors that most of the symbiotes are in this movie.
Right.
But whatever. So you got that guy. Then the next one we see is the one that is I want to say they're going for yellow tinted with this one, but he came off as dirt colored symbiote. And that's the punching one.
Right.
This one is apparently supposed to be phage.
Okay.
It's the yellow Life Foundation symbiote, but it's not like this at all. It's probably the Life Foundation symbiote with the least personality. So yeah, maybe it is. Who knows? It does pretty well. It does good punches, and like that seems to be a pretty effective strategy for killing xenophage.
Yeah, for sure.
Until it gets exploded. Which one was next? There's another one that comes before the two that's mushed together. Oh, there's the white one. The one that's not anti-venom, but people on the wiki are calling anti-venom. It takes over a woman, I think. And then it like jumps on the xenophage and starts stabbing it. For some reason, a couple of these symbiotes' whole thing is like, if we stab it enough times, it'll stop. But that never is true.
That's not exactly flawed logic.
I mean, you think it the first time you stab it, but when they all mush their bodies back together, you'd be like, okay, stabbing's off the table. It'd be like that scene in Hercules where Phil's like, stop cutting the Hydra's heads off. That's not going to work.
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
But yeah, that one also gets eaten immediately, which is pretty funny. What do you guys think of the xenophage eating sounds?
I did not like them at all. The chainsaw bits were kind of funny, maybe, but I didn't care for it.
I did get some joy out of the fucking lawnmower mouth.
Yeah.
Of the xenophages, where they just like wood chipper just like shoved a whole body in and blood sprayed out of the back of their head.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I like that. I think it was pretty funny when symbiotes got wood chippered. Especially certain ones. So yeah, so there's anti-venom air quotes, gets eaten immediately. Then there's two, a blue one and a different blue one that smushed together to make one giant blue one that's Planus traps and vines or something. I don't know what that was supposed to be. That didn't look like any recognizable symbiote. So cool. And then you had the green one, the Christmas girl gets. Mm-hmm. Now, this one is apparently Lasher, which is the only one during the movie that I'm like, I guess that's probably Lasher. Because Lasher is the green one. It is a Life Foundation symbiote, so it's one of the original 5, and its whole thing is like spiky arm tentacles and shit. It's not this character usually, but whatever. And I thought that one was okay. That was kind of cool.
I guess. I mean, it had like big stabby arms. That was kind of
cool. It got the sword thing with the picked up the thing, the helicopter blade, cut the guy's head off. That was cool. Feels like this Dr. Christmas has always wanted to be a symbiote, you know?
Yeah, that's her dream. Yeah.
Good for her.
It's like, just love to be symbiote. I mean, she's lucky she was in the movie where everyone got to be symbiote.
Yeah.
So that's, good for her.
It used to just be that the one bad guy got to be the symbiote, and that was bullshit. If anything, you were lucky if you got to be Venom for a minute or two and then kiss Eddie Brock the Venom back, which they didn't even do in this one. But she also was Venom for a little bit too. She loved symbiotes so much. Friends of the symbiotes. Do you remember the other symbiote that shows up that I think is the weirdest one for sure?
Agony?
The other, not Agony. Sorry, the one before Agony in this big stupid fight.
Nope.
DJ, any guesses? Any memory of which one this was?
No, I got nothing.
So we don't see it bond to its person the same way we do with the other ones, but there's some sort of fire symbiote that runs up into the xenophage and jumps into its mouth and then immediately gets shredded and then dies. And I was like, is this suicide bomber? Like, what are we doing here? But also, they're allergic to fire, so where did this guy come from? This is the most extreme symbiote that's ever existed. And, I have no idea what they were going for with him.
It's weird.
Yeah, it was pretty weird. And then Agony. Let's talk about Agony. Purple.
She's purple and she's got weird symbiote hair.
Yeah, sometimes the women have hair. Not always, though.
And she has lightning powers.
That she never has.
I was going to say, I don't think that's a feature of Agony.
Absolutely not.
I know.
It's the same color scheme as the Shazam lady with lightning with speed powers, though, for some reason. Is purple, is that a thing?
Is purple speed? I don't know.
Is
I don't
purple
think
speed?
so.
I mean, I don't either, right?
I feel like
It's like
yellow, sort of like lightning.
Yeah.
Sonic, blue.
Like
Right.
yellow, Flash, and like Quicksilver's green and blue. Makari is red. Flash is red. There we go. That's two red ones.
Reverse Flash
You know what?
yellow. Yeah.
I feel like she was more purple pink than red.
No. I'm saying in this,
No.
like you're right. She is. Oh, but I'm saying Makari is red. Like I'm saying, like if there is a defined color that your speedster becomes, it is.
It's
red.
not purple for sure.
Yeah. But for some reason, the Shazam. You think Makari was purple or that?
Sorry, what?
Wait, what were you gonna say? Sorry, cut you off.
No, I was talking about Agony.
Okay. Yeah.
God, put a bullet in my skull right now if I remember a single thing about Makari.
How dare you? We're all gonna look back and be like, that movie was great and it was a good movie. I mean, Agony's the easiest one to remember.
I mean, people can check the record. I'm an Eternals defender, but it's not a great movie.
It's a great movie. Agony is very purple. In Fortnite, she's more purple, I think, than she is in the movie. But
now, what I was gonna say is purple, pink, etc. That maybe isn't your super speed color, but it's definitely your girl color.
It is the girl color, yeah.
But Agony isn't the only. Well,
no, it's not the only woman.
Who else? Scream. Scream is lady.
Yeah. Scream is a woman, and Scream does also have long symbiote hair. Scream is yellow, and it's the character that it's a symbiote that everybody thought Jenny Slate was going to be in the first one of these. She'd be a pretty good Scream.
Before everyone realized they were just going to waste Jenny Slate.
Yeah. They even had like a symbiote that was like whirly red and yellow like colors, because Scream is two colors, and then it shouldn't do anything.
Instead, Jenny Slate walks past that symbiote, looks at it, and goes, "Next time."
Yeah. But yeah, there's a couple of girl symbiotes. I mean, like we joked about it before. I think I don't remember if this is on camera, but Mania is a woman. It's like what's his name?
It sure is. Am I right, fellas?
Yeah.
Hey, ho.
Got him. Recognized. That's what we think, all of us. But yeah, the Mania's like Venom's like little apprentice. But when it's Flash Thompson. And I feel like there's other women, but those are the big ones. Like Agony, Scream, Mania, She-Venom, if you really want to be generous. It's mostly a male-dominated industry, is a symbiote industry.
What?
Yeah, there's a lot of sexism in the symbiote industry that still hasn't gone examined.
That's true. Misery is a woman, and she is a.
Am I right, fellas?
She's so interesting as like a thing, because like they all have like scary names because they're all mercenaries or something usually, and they come back and then get put onto like army men, and it's like an army where they name the bombs like the Explosion Maker 5000. With Misery, Liz Allen got a symbiote, and she didn't have a name.
Liz
just a
Allen
Carnage.
got a symbiote?
Liz Allen got a symbiote, yeah. In the comics, she's like so I didn't know this until I read this one recently. In the comics, she's the founder of the company Alchemax. She is, because it is Allen Chemicals, and then she's like a businesswoman who owns whole lots of companies and stuff. Yeah, and Carlton Drake from the Life Foundation from the first movie tries to steal the symbiotes from her because she has them, because they're researching them, and he gets them all except for one. It's kind of like how Agony happens in this movie, and she's like, fuck, I guess I gotta try this one. And it's a mess, like it's Carnage mixed with anti-venom, so it's like red and white, whatever. But also, the symbiote in her head gives her therapy, and like sits down with a little clipboard and is like, what happened to you in your past? And when she finds out that she had a miserable life, she's like, I am misery. And then the symbiote's like, what if we inflict misery onto others? And then like, oh, that's what my name will be then. So that's why she has a badass name. But it's pretty like roundabout.
The symbiote has made her realize that she could have been dating Spider-Man, but it didn't work out.
It's funny because she could have been dating Spider-Man. She ended up getting married to Harry Osborn. And that also didn't work. And then she had a thing with Flash Thompson for a while. She's been all over the Spider-Man, like, you know, she's been in the background of all the Spider-Man comics, just being miserable, apparently.
Yeah, and if she'd been able to marry or be involved long term with Spider-Man, she too could be married to Paul right now.
That's true. Well, Paul, I don't even know where Paul is right now. I watched that video that you recommended the other day, and I agree with the video. Everybody who likes Spider-Man just jump ships right over to Ultimate Spider-Man, and it's pretty good right now. Because all the rest of it is just events like this bullshit with Null. But I'm surprised. I am surprised Mary Jane has never gotten a symbiote, or if she has, it hasn't lasted for more than like 8 seconds. Because everybody else has, Silver Sable just got one. Like, Mary Jane should get a symbiote.
Huh.
Yeah, instead she has weird jackpot powers where she could spin a little jackpot on her. She has a little slot machine. You know what? That's like kind of a reference to that. She
has superpowers, technically.
Yeah, Paul made her a slot machine super suit that she can spin, and then it gives her whatever superpower shows up. And it's usually kind of not super useful. It's kind of like Maui in that first Moana movie. Like, she's like, I'm goo now. And they're like, fuck, that's not a good superpower. But it's just because her character was named Jack. Like, she said Jackpot that one time to Spider-Man. And Paul, independently of that, was like, I think I will give you Jackpot-based powers. Because how could he know? Unless she uses that word with everyone. Oh, Mary Jane. Anyway, Spider-Man. He sucks. Do you think Spider-Man could fight a xenophage? Would he be even useful with this thing?
Well, there might be a wheel slice for this.
Oh, okay. Well, let me spin the wheel. Tick, 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 tick. Oh, it landed on one of Diggins's. Diggins, would you like to read it to us?
Sure. So this wheel slice is a sentence that probably is not the first time this sentence has ever been spoken aloud. The xenophage sucks and doesn't make sense.
What?
Stole my
Explain
wheel
yourself, sir.
Sorry, it's a pretty big part of the movie.
Yeah.
Explain yourself.
So the xenophage, I kind of left out a lot of the stuff that doesn't make sense about the xenophage or is stupid about the xenophage in the summary, so I could talk about it now. So I mentioned the xenophage can immediately tell when Venom and Eddie are like merged because it can see the codex, right?
That's right. And what does it sound like when it sees that? No. Well, kind of, I guess. It goes wom, 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 wom whenever it's sensing symbiote heartbeat or whatever.
Yeah. What I left out there is the second they untransform and it doesn't know where they are anymore, it just kind of stops and it's like, oh, well.
Yeah.
I guess that's over. And then fucking leaves.
Yeah, it has Daredevil vision, but without any, it can't really see individual people, but it can see like shapes kind of. And if you don't have the little symbiote heart thingy, pretty useless.
But it can see other people. It attacks people that are attacking it. And like, and that whole ending sequence is it like just killing everyone. Like, xenophages can tell where people are, but the second there's not a codex around, they just lose all interest and just leave. Which changes this from like deadly threat, like the second you transform, like that's it. You know, you're in a life or death battle where you have to just try to run away. It's the second you transform, the xenophage knows where you are and shows up, and then you untransform, and the xenophage is like, oh, I guess I was wrong, and then just leaves.
Yeah.
Except sometimes it goes on a killing spree. That's the weirdness of the xenophage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, except sometimes that it seems to be able to think. Like, yeah, sometimes, to be fair, a lot of times when it kills people, it's because they're attacking it. So it has some self-preservation, even though it's immortal, except when it's not. But then also, in the penthouse scene, like, that's literally what happens, where it shows up at the penthouse and, like, screams, and then they untransform, and it's like, oh, and then just leaves.
Yeah.
But then the military guys show up and take them, and then the xenophage seems to get smart and understands what just happened, and that they have the codex, because it follows the military guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's true. What's going on there?
And then we get to the fight where, again, I've said this a few times before, but I just really want to emphasize it by describing all of the things that happen to the xenophage in order.
Mm-hmm.
So it blasts into the Area 55, starts attacking everyone. It's getting shot constantly by soldiers, doesn't seem to be bothered by that. The symbiotes are coming up to it, like stabbing it a bunch, doesn't seem to care. Like fully just tanking all of this, taking no damage, and then one-shotting symbiotes, which is crazy.
Yeah.
When they get outside, more of that, but then it does get blown up by a rocket launcher that General Strickland uses, and gets like blown up into a few different little pieces, like when it went through the jet engine.
Mm-hmm.
Puts itself back together, is alive again. Didn't really hurt it at all. It just slowed it down. Then Eddie and Venom ride around on a motorcycle and then jump in the air, take some helicopter blades that they snap up, and slice off one of the xenophage's head.
Yeah.
And it just dies.
Mm-hmm.
Does it though?
I think
couldn't
so,
tell.
yeah.
I mean, it's a little hard to tell because there's more than one at that point. But I'm pretty sure we see the head like slam on the ground and it like doesn't get back up. I think that one's just dead.
That's true, but what about the one that Rhys Ifans shoots with a rocket, and then it looks at him as it has its head chopped off, and he's like, "Oh man, no man!" Remember that?
Yeah, that was the thing I was going to bring up. Rhys Ifans shoots the one with a rocket launcher that I guess he just found laying around.
It's a military base. Maybe he took it as a souvenir after breaking in. Like maybe that was
DJ. Are
plan.
You suggesting, as a man who probably knows more about military bases than anyone, either of us, that if you were to somehow find yourself on a military base that is being decommissioned, you can just find a rocket launcher like in a shack or something, like it's a fucking video game?
What I'm saying is, sometimes, and this is well documented on the interwebs, people make mistakes and things fall off trucks and you just never know what could happen. It's just, it's an oopsie doopsie, as they say. You just find an RPG laying down and it's yours, have fun.
Yeah. I mean, General Strickland doesn't seem like he runs an especially tight ship either. There's a lot of flim-flam going on. Everybody's just able to take a symbiote when they want to. Like,
a lot of flim-flam, a lot of malarkey.
A lot of malarkey. And those are words he would say as an American like us.
That's right.
Yeah, it's weird too, because like that fight's not even supposed to be there. Like they're fighting the thing underground, and then everybody just runs out of the thing, and then they start fighting it. It's like, where'd you guys get this shit from? Were you planning for this earlier?
But yeah, like you said, when Rhys Ifans blows up that one with the rocket launcher he found laying around like Solid Snake, the head does seem to look at him, but it doesn't reassemble itself.
Yeah. And you could say, well, maybe their weakness being fire, like the other symbiotes, they would, if you do the fire thing to them, that would kill them. But the jet engine's on fire when it explodes them, and that doesn't count either.
Yeah, so 100%. And then acid and explosion does kill them.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know you correctly pointed out that the symbiote rules are like really inconsistent and don't make sense in this movie. The xenophages don't appear to have rules at all. Whatever happens to them is whatever is most convenient in the moment.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
They're a pretty crazy villain because you can never stop them.
Until you can.
Until you can. I like that it's able to just jump onto the plane. It doesn't seem to be able to fly. It just eyeballs it. It's like,
it just senses them on the plane and takes a 2,000 foot vertical leap.
Mm-hmm. Pretty cool. It's also pretty cool that thing gets chopped up by an airplane propeller, flying at airplane speeds, and it all lands within a foot of itself. So I think they'd be miles apart, right? If they didn't just...
No, they should be.
But I don't know. They're too busy.
Much like how they can fight on top of this plane like a Smash Brothers stage, we have to assume that this plane is only moving like 12 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's true. Is this the secret, origin of like all the Boeing stuff? Is it xenophages?
They specify it.
Yeah, I know they
not
do.
Not a Boeing,
yeah.
it's an Airbus.
An Airbus.
Yeah, I love that, by the way.
Now, what do you think? Do you think that was the thing? Do you think Boeing was like, you can't?
Yeah, not
like,
allowed. It's foul play.
I want the alien to say that it's an Airbus. Otherwise, our sterling reputation will be tarnished. Strike one, Boeing.
I like to think they held an auction with all the major airplane designers, builders. I don't know what to call them. Where it's like whoever wins this auction, not only will we specifically say the plane that gets damaged isn't yours, but you get to pick one competitor of your choice for it to actually be.
That would be fun. And that's what Boeing's spending its money on. It's like, fire that guy whose job is to check all the screws. We need to make sure the Venom propo is strong propo.
Oh, wait, actually, no. I think this is what it is. I think they solicited money from every airplane manufacturer, a word I just remembered.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever paid them the most got to be specified it wasn't them. Whoever paid them the least got to be the one that actually was.
That's good. That's good.
That'd be good. You know, it probably wouldn't auction. Be. Now, we know what plane it is. I guess because it's traveling from Mexico, I feel like it's supposed to be... It's not like a major... It's not like a Delta or anything like that. Do you think Turkish Airlines goes down to Mexico? Tickets, can you check with your mayor? I don't know if that was a Turkish Airlines flight they could have been on. Wonder Woman would have saved them, though. She loves that one so much. Could you like, I guess he couldn't survive. He could survive this if you were venomized, the whole like flying through the air thing.
Sure, why not?
It does feel like one of the things that should kill a Venom, or at least really damage a Venom, is being frozen. And I think that is like in the comics also a weakness of theirs. They would freeze up there, right?
I mean, that's opposite of fire. Like, right, but like, would they freeze up there? Yes.
I think they would. Yeah, they'd be a big ice block.
It is very cold up there.
Yeah.
Which they do say, Eddie's like, I'm very cold. And Venom is like,
that's true.
Deal with it.
Yeah. Do you think Eddie and Venom walked up to that plane and Eddie was like, you got a plan to get us onto the plane, Venom? And Venom was like, sure, Eddie, whatever. And then they just climbed onto the plane and Eddie was like, I hope we're going to get inside the plane. Like, when was this apparent to Eddie? They were going to ride the outside of the plane all the way, right? Because it seems like he's come up with this distinction midair. Like he decides this.
What I love is the idea that they could get past all the airport security to get to the tarmac, to get to the planes themselves, past all the security, all the checkpoints, all the ticket takers, all of that. But they couldn't get in the plane. That was a step too far.
Right? Yeah, I don't know what they did. It's weird because Venom doesn't have wings in this. Sometimes Venom can make wings if he wants.
It's a big old parachute, so you know.
Just a parachute, something. Yeah. That is handy. But yeah, I don't know. The xenophage is weird. It's also weird that the xenophage finds the codex and doesn't call Null immediately.
Yeah, it waits until the end of the movie to be like, hey, Null, we found it.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't make any sense because it appears to just be able to do that. Like, it would be one thing if it was like an Area 51, there was like a satellite dish or something, and it uses that to call Null, and you're like, oh no. Because, sound doesn't travel through space, so that would be something instead of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of Null thing.
But instead, apparently, if it just yells loud enough, Null can hear it.
Mm-hmm. With the same sonic weapon, it can also use to disable symbiotes.
Correct.
That's pretty cool. Wait, but then, yeah, I feel like the xenophage behaves for this movie like it's a henchman who knows there's an extra $100 in it for him if he catches the Batman himself. Like for the beginning of the movie, he's like, I think I can do this. And then once he starts getting exploded a bunch of times, he's like, fuck this, I'm calling Joker, and then getting him to send all the goons. But I also don't understand, because the xenophages are typically not agents of Null or anything like that.
Right.
Like, they're just another alien race that likes to eat symbiotes. It's very weird what Null is when you consider that, though. Like, because he's like the god of the symbiotes, who he created in their little like creation story, and then they turned on him or something. And then I guess in the meantime, he also made these big giant bug wood chipper things, gave them all the symbiote hunting abilities. Or was he god of both of those things? Did he make both of them at the same time and then be like, I'm pretty much going to go all in on symbiotes, but give them the codex in case they got out of line. All the rest of you guys got to go eat them.
I was going to say, I'm going to make my symbiotes, but just to put the fear of God in them, I'm also going to make the symbiote eaters.
Yeah. What if those rebel? What do you got then? No bigger xenophages?
Yeah, he actually, we don't see it in this movie, but like behind his weird throne thing, he does have a pack of phages.
Oh, shit. That's what you want.
Well, that it kind of does beg the question, how does he build these while he's prisoned, right? It's like, I guess it's a pretty bad prison setup if he can still make xenophages while being imprisoned.
So it makes more sense with Venoms than it does with xenophages. In the comics, he is imprisoned accidentally by the Celestials in a void of darkness, and then he's like, oh, cool. All my shit's here. I'm the darkness guy. And then he makes the symbiotes. But like in this, I guess he just like, he was imprisoned. But he's imprisoned by the symbiotes in this.
Yes.
That's the weird thing.
Because Sony doesn't have the rights to those.
Yeah. They really fucked this up.
His children betrayed him. Don't they always?
Don't they always? Yeah. Children, that's like a metaphor in this movie, you know?
Are you ready for the day that Jackson betrays and tries to kill you, TJ?
That's why he's building that Jaxophage back there.
Yeah.
See it on the cameras. That big lawnmower tied to a husky dog.
I mean,
very dangerous.
That would kill me. I don't know about you guys.
Yes, that's true.
I'd be so dead.
Yeah, the xenophage is a xenophage. It's also a humophage or something. Like it gets a phage for most things smaller than it.
It's really just like an everything phage.
Like X, the everything app. Yeah. They should call that app phage instead.
That's why its name starts with
X.
That's
why it's a Xeno. Yeah, that makes sense. He thought it through, you know? We made fun of Elon for all his dumb things, and he does a lot of dumb things, but when he made Xenophage the Xenophage app, he knew what he was doing. Elon, come on the podcast, you know? We'll explain to you why you're a genius.
Oh, no, great.
You would have to physically restrain me and put a sock in my mouth to stop me from saying something that would have him get us all executed.
He'll have that power too, so
he has that power right now, DJ. He's rich.
Yeah,
if
he's
a
pretty
rich person really wanted one of us dead, they could do it.
He could definitely. Oh my god, for sure. And it wouldn't even be fun. He'd do it in like a stupid way. Like he'd hire a person to walk up and shoot me or something. Not like a fun thing where like, I don't know, like a big plane falls out of the sky and lands on my house. You'd be like, wow, that's pretty crazy. But he'd do what they do in Blade Runner because he loves Blade Runner so much, you know. He'd hire a Blade Runner to get me.
It's classic character, Blade Runner.
Blade Runner, yeah. He says classic line, I'm Blade Runner, tears in the rain right before he shoots me. Did you ever see that, speaking of Blade Runner and Elon and all that, did you ever see that time he had Trump on the video call? And Trump had like a funny joke to him. First of all, if anybody's like, is this them? No, hate Trump, he bad. But Elon Musk is so bad at being like a person that speaks, and he would be so terrible on a podcast that he couldn't even figure this joke out. He's talking about nuclear energy and stuff, and he's like, I love nuclear energy. It's great. Everyone loves nuclear energy. And Trump was like, yeah, but the nuclear, very, very dangerous, the nuclear. And Elon's like, well, not in Fukushima. I actually drank the water in Fukushima to prove that it's not dangerous. And Trump said, yes, we've all been very worried about you, Elon, because you've been doing some strange things. And Elon just couldn't deal with that as a thought in his head and was like, no, the water is very safe. But it's a pretty funny joke. I'd love it if that was true. If we could track the time he drank water in Fukushima to every other decision he's ever made in his life. Maybe. Get Grimes on the phone. She's probably got a good record of all this. But yeah, Xenophages are pretty cool, or not.
No,
but yeah,
suck.
oh,
I didn't like them at all.
There's the other question. What Avengers do you think could and could not fight a xenophage? Like, do you think Hawkeye could kill a xenophage?
It would depend if the xenophage has decided it's weak to something or not.
Yeah, I feel like there's very few Avengers that could deal with this. You have to be like, I don't know.
Every Avenger could deal with it, because what can kill a xenophage is what the plot decides, and the Avengers are heroes, so they have to ultimately win. So
That's
eventually,
true.
something they do can kill a xenophage.
Yeah, that's a good point. They should do that.
They should do that.
That should be the next movie, is them all fighting xenophages. I mean, there are rumors, and we talked about this a little bit, that Null going to come back in a thing. The original rumor was Spider-Man 4. I am very, very skeptical that happens in this, because of how much everyone hates Null and how much this movie continues to bomb.
Listen, I don't like any of... Well, the third one's okay. I don't really like the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. If they put fucking Null in the fourth one, then they're out of their minds. Like, I will be so baffled.
They might be out of their minds. It's not a crazy position to take. I feel like it seems like there's like fights going on within Sony of like, we should make it a grounded street level story, or we should make it some crazy multiverse thing. And it seems like Null is the multiverse option. Ugh. Do you even want to see this Tom Hardy hang out with Spider-Man? Like this Venom?
I want it so bad.
Do you really?
Because it would be stupid and not make any sense, yes.
Okay, fair enough.
That would be kind of cool.
There's absolutely no way the tone and like mannerisms and everything of this Venom makes any sense in the MCU, and that's why I want it.
What if he doesn't come back? What if it's just Agony? What if she's like the future of these guys? And some rando who gets the toxin symbiote that is apparently still out there.
That would be a much worse movie, but a much funnier thing that has happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right.
Speaking of things that happen, though, I think maybe we should spin that wheel again, Nando.
Yeah, let's spin this wheel one more time. Tick, 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 tick. Oh, I landed on one of DJ's. DJ, do you have anything that you're seeing on the wheel right now?
This will be a quick one. Getting your family killed on a military base.
Yeah.
So something that's kind of insane, right? So, you know, the kind of like a sub theme with the hippie family during the movie is that the daughter kind of hates the dad for doing just like dragging them around Nevada, trying to like find aliens in Area 51.
Great citizens of the great state of Nevada know that I know how to pronounce your name.
Okay, well, I'm not running for president, so, you know, I don't need to pronounce it correctly. But anyway.
Also, is Area 51 in Nevada?
Yeah.
It is.
Oh, I assumed it was in New Mexico with Roswell. I guess you're right. I mean, this part of the movie takes place in Nevada, obviously, so that makes sense.
So anyway, there's like sub theme where like the daughter kind of hates the dad, but they finally get there and they're looking at the decommissioned Area 51. And it's like a nice moment where it's like, wow, you did it, Dad. She's like, honestly, I guess it's kind of cool. And he's like, yeah, isn't this great? And then they have a son. He's like probably like eight or nine. He finds a little hole in the fence and decides to go explore. And it's like, oh, guys, look, Johnny found a little hole. Let's go on in. Let's go on into this still active military base. And I just don't understand what's going on here. Like, clearly the movie just needs to get the family to the military base to raise the stakes, but this is a crazy thing to do, right? Like, oh, look at the military base from the outside. Also, the whole family goes along with it. Like the wife, not the daughter, anyone goes, Dad, honey, should we not do this? It's like, nah, fuck it, let's do it. Let's just all go into the still active military base. Fucking crazy shit right there.
Until this point of the movie, these characters have been the models of rational behavior, just like really level-headed, not doing anything crazy, or like are deliberately written to come off as people who are kind of nutcases. Nothing like that. So this really comes out of left field.
I think there is a line between we're kind of crunchy, you know, we're vegan, we're gonna do our own thing in our van and poop in holes and, you know, drive around and find Area 51. I think that's
pick up the hitchhiker who's on all the TV channels for being a murderer.
cash in all your life savings and sell all your possessions so you can drive a van around Nevada looking for aliens.
Yeah, that's the part of it that I think is the craziest that he didn't mention. It's not just they went on this trip. They have nowhere to live now. Like, they live in this car. It's weird.
But that, I feel like that is all explainable, if not crazy behavior, and none of it endangers your children. But just like,
I would argue
hanging out with the hitchhiker,
kinda.
Yeah.
I just think there's that, and then sauntering onto the active military base where it's like you might get shot on sight.
I mean, not just sauntering onto the military base, climbing the fucking tower thingy.
Yeah.
Like, what are you, out of your mind? They're decommissioning stuff. Like, what if it falls over? And it does, but not for the reasons they should be expecting it to. Like,
I just thought, like, to have this be the reason the family gets there. The family doesn't even need to be there for the fight scene, but how they do it,
they don't do
it's
anything.
crazy. It's crazy.
I mean, it would make just as much sense if instead of them going on the big, like, whatever it is, tower, before anything starts happening, if the kid just finds a rocket launcher and dad's like, hey, son, shoot that rocket into the sky, man. This is for Area 51, bro. And he'd be like, all right. Because they just fucking do whatever. They're playing it by ear. I do think for a character who's like an Area 51 buff, this guy doesn't really have a plan for what to do when they get to Area 51. Like, you figure this character's going to have, I don't know, schematics or some sort of secret rock or something that he's looking for that's going to open a door, and maybe it won't, but like at least he thinks it will. But he does feel like his whole plan was just, I'm going to drive up to Area 51, salute it, and then leave. And that's the end of my journey. Like, this guy sucks. He's
DJ,
giving money away to Eddie.
That if you made it all the way to Area 51, there were no guards or anyone in sight, and there was just a big hole in the fence right next to where you were, you wouldn't be like, I mean, at least gotta look for the aliens, right?
I'm not setting foot on a military base, brah. There's no way. No way.
You respect
no way,
the
no
troops
way, no
too
way.
much.
Yeah.
It's too risky. I might get shot. That's like shot on sight scenario, and they that's it.
That would be funny if that's what happened, though.
I would point out that that's insane to shoot someone on sight who's clearly just like some random person just because they happen to be somewhere where they shouldn't be. However, that's the kind of insanity that our armed forces would employ, so I'm not going to say you're wrong.
Yeah, how about that?
In universe, if it happened, do you think this guy would have been part of that Storm Area 51 group of kids that did Naruto runs in
yes,
51?
Absolutely. That would have been, I mean, probably stupid and dated, but it would have been so funny if that was the excuse for getting these people, is that was happening around the time of this movie.
That, or like there was a bunch of those guys also that were like, maybe in this version of the movie, Eddie would have told them like, hey, listen, guys, I know you don't think there's aliens, but there's actually aliens, but they're really dangerous, so you should stay away. And then there we'd have a scene where like the Area 51 truthers that aren't the family see something going on, and then they're like, whoa, they'll do their Naruto run over to Area 51. The xenophage just eats them all in a big line, just and then there's blood everywhere. It'd be pretty fun.
That would be pretty fun.
Yeah, I like that when it does that. Yeah. The family is weird, though. That's the mom from something.
I was going to say, I guess I wouldn't say I don't know why they're in the movie. I understand the sort of like function, at least for the midpoint scenes where they're like, it would be nice if we could have a normal life with a family. I don't think the movie's structured well, so I don't think that really fits with everything else that's happening, but I understand it. Mm-hmm. But because of those structural issues, like, it doesn't really feel like it fits.
Yeah. Especially when Recyphin shows up with the gun again. Like, even after they've already left, he's like, I gotta go die in Area 51 with Eddie. I don't know if you guys had this thought, but for a split second, I was like, Mrs. Chen has the rocket launcher. That's fucking sick. Like,
that's good.
I'm glad she's involved in this because it doesn't make any sense why she's even here. But
you know what? You know what thought I did have regarding Mrs. Chen?
What?
Does she want to fuck Venom?
She does want to fuck Venom, and in universe, I don't blame her. You know, he's a cool guy. He saves her from robbers every so often.
Yeah, it's big and bad.
The spot bothered her the other day, so there, there could be worse guys. And then you got Venom. It's pretty cool.
I want to be very clear here. She does not want to fuck Eddie. She wants to fuck Venom.
She thinks Eddie's like a nice boy, but she doesn't have that feeling for Venom. Eddie that she does for Venom.
Yeah, precisely.
Also, I think like we never really get into Eddie's love life besides just he's kind of a jerk to his wife or girlfriend or fiance in the first one.
I believe fiance in the first one.
Yeah, I think that's right. Because I think he has a ring and she like throws it off the Golden Gate Bridge or something like that. But he should. I think he would be like kind of fine. But I think Venom would be like a generous lover. He feels like he'd be very caring and attentive to Mrs. Chen.
Hey,
always asking her questions about the experience.
Hey, Nando.
I think that. Yeah.
What that tongue do?
Exactly. and those thingies, those what are they called? God, I already forgot the name. Tendrils. What about all those tendrils? That'd be pretty handy,
Would you say that Venom would be a tendril lover?
Yes, he would. He would love her tenderly. And he would be a true hero, unlike DJ Khaled and Batman in the Snyderverse or whatever. It's weird that we never gave Venom a girlfriend in this. I mean, obviously Venom's gay with Eddie and that's whole thing. That's very fun.
Right. The whole thing is that they're in a gay relationship together.
They're just never able to hang out with another symbiote for long enough for Venom to have like a symbiote friend. I kind of want to, I wouldn't mind that. That'd be kind of fun. I mean, he's dead now, but like he could have had that before. That would have been nice. But yeah. I'm gonna spin the wheel. Spin it one more time. Tick, 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 tick. Lands on one of mine.
Oh.
I will read it real quick. What's going on with that guy at the very, very end? Did they take him to jail and then just leave him there and then he leaves? Everything exploded.
And put him in a cave though? Was the jail in a cave?
Yeah. Where did he go?
I think that's just supposed to be like ruins of Area 55. But it is literally a cave, so you're right that it doesn't make sense. But I think that's what it's supposed to be.
No, I think that's right. Excuse me. It's just super weird. Yeah, it's just that whole thing is very weird. Yeah. That's like a little post-credit scene.
Yeah.
Instead of there's the guy who's like, "Hi, I'm the guy in front of the screens. I'm also important." But
hey, listen, Nando, what makes a good post-credits scene is the thing that happened early in the movie shows up again, and you're like, I remember when that happened.
Right. That is good when they do that.
That's what it's all about, baby.
It's a classic callback.
What did we think of Agony in this, by the way? Speaking of her character, she had a symbiote.
Can I be honest with you? Can I be 100% with you guys?
Yeah, please.
I think the design's bad.
I agree.
Yeah, I think they've always had trouble with the symbiote hair. I feel like it's too
because much like Mr. Mime and his jester hat, it's not hair, it's fleshy protuberances that are part of its body.
Mm-hmm. I know, and it's like I think it doesn't have volume though. That's my problem with the way they did it in this. In the comics, Scream and Agony both have like this also, but it's more like kind of like flowy fucking hair, like Aquaman underwater, but more, I mean, and at that, like, it's like a tendril, like you can pick shit up with it. So it's like, I don't know, it should look cooler than it does in this. Scream is the one that's more hair. So that one, I would say maybe they're saving it for Scream, but at this point it's like, just make the hair one, I don't know, something. But they also gave her super speed, so whatever. What do I know?
And like, lightning powers.
Give them random bullshit. Yeah. Do you think she would have got those powers if she gets struck by lightning?
I think everyone gets lightning powers if they get struck by lightning. I think that happens to humans.
No, but I mean, would the symbiote get them? If you just put them on a regular person and wasn't struck by lightning, would that symbiote not have lightning powers?
Yes, because that's why it has lightning powers, is because the human, was struck by lightning. And all humans get lightning powers when they get struck by lightning.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a while to figure out that her arm wasn't working. I did not track that for the beginning of the movie.
I took until the second you said that to figure out that her arm wasn't working.
Really? Oh, okay. That's why it's such a big deal when she like flexes her arm at the end and she's like, hey, look at this. Because it's like she doesn't have it like bundled up like Kurt Connors does, because he has no arm, but like she has it just hanging during the whole movie.
Didn't notice at all.
I know. Very strange. And interesting then, because it's not set up as her thing. She's not like trying to, cure arm disease with symbiotes like some of these characters would be in other movies. So
she doesn't look at a paper uncomprehendingly and go, but I don't have an arm not work disease.
Yeah, my arm didn't get struck by lightning. But yeah, I don't know. She's weird. I think, if anything, I think she's the thing you can easily remove from this movie. Mostly because Lash is cooler.
She's a completely pointless character.
Yeah.
She doesn't do anything that isn't already being done by Dr. Christmas.
So many pointless characters or doubled up characters. Did any of you think Strickland was going to become a symbiote? Because he died so slow. When he didn't die immediately, I'm like, oh, is he going to be a symbiote?
I thought that would be the final, like, he learns that symbiotes are okay guys. Because the symbiote saves his life. I thought that's what it would be. But no, fuck it.
Yeah, just have him throw a grenade and, have that be the end of it.
It's also really dumb that he pulls that pin on that grenade. Because, like, the only thing we've learned in the movie from him, when they're fighting the symbiote, when, like, all the symbiotes are fighting the xenophage, he shoots him with a rocket and it fucks everything up. And then Lasher's like, don't do that. It fucks us up. And then later, when the acid is working, it's all doing its job very well. And then he explodes it with the little hand grenade. And I'd be like, maybe that'll fuck everything up, dude. Just let Venom do what it's doing. It's gotten to the point where it doesn't need you anymore because it's pulling all the apparatus down around it. So I think he's working with the xenophages, if anything.
I think so.
Yeah.
Speaking of this guy and him learning that symbiotes are okay, remember when this movie briefly tried to be about immigration?
Oh my God. Well, which point? Or like, actually, it wasn't what I thought you were going to say, but when was that?
So there's like in the midpoint of the movie when we're having like the conversations with the doctor lady and General Strickland, where she's like, we should study these aliens and see what they're all about. And he's like, all aliens are evil scum. We should kill them.
Yeah.
And like, so here's the thing. Like, that's kind of like a subtle, like, oh, you could see that as an immigration thing. It doesn't even remotely stop there.
Yeah.
There's, because like it gets to the point where they're talking to them and the symbiote tells them like, oh, we were running away from our creator who's big evil and ended up here. And so she's like, see, they're just refugees trying to escape. And he's like, no way. I was there when they came down on their meteor. I know that they're trying to immigrate here and replace everybody like some kind of great replacement. And that means they're evil. People who want to move to a place someone else lives are evil.
Mm-hmm. Good
I'm
point.
like toning down what he says like 1 degree. It's really clear that somebody wanted to say something about immigration in this movie.
Yeah, it reminds me of that Terminator movie that kind of did that, where it was like, it's a little bit about immigration, you know?
And they even throw in like where Venom's like, I would really like to see the Statue of Liberty. And Eddie Brock is like, hey, you're right, Venom. You know, the Statue of Liberty is like a symbol of how we're welcoming of other peoples, like how you are an alien from outer spaces, but we could welcome you here on Earth's because we so love immigrants so much.
That's true.
It's like it's really unsubtle in the middle of the movie, and then it just kind of drops it completely, and the metaphor stops working.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to say, with the unsubtle bullshit in the movie, remember the part where Venom just shoots a guy in the head and is sad about it for a little bit? Or Eddie just does that. But yeah, and he sees the person's face and they're not a faceless goon like all the rest of the goons. They have a face. A woman's face, perhaps even. And he's like, I think I maybe have gone a little too far with this shooting all these guys that are fucking parachuting down to shoot me.
Yeah, I mean, in his defense, he accidentally shoots her because she was pulling out a pistol to shoot him in the throat.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man.
She
I
understood
feel like
the stakes of the movie. Because she's on the
it's
same page.
understandable that you feel like conflicted and guilty about that. I feel like that's pretty understandable circumstances.
Yeah. I think that's about as understandable as the dogfighting guy who is trying to leave and is like, I'm sorry. And Eddie's like, too bad. I kill you by eating your head. Like, I feel like you've killed people in more kind of destructive circumstances, but
For
I guess these aren't
crimes.
dogs. Yeah, they're just people. Who gives a shit about him? But,
Well, Nando, as we all know, doing something to a dog is the worst possible crime anyone could ever commit, and anyone who ever dares touch our precious puppers is subhuman scum who deserves to die. Even if they're tangentially related to someone who did something mean to a dog, then they all deserve to die.
that's for sure.
I mean, that's
true.
accurate. That's you're only spitting facts here, so you know.
Yeah.
It seems hot takey, but it's quite good. Yeah.
Speaking of hot takes, do you guys think this movie is woke? I was curious about this as I was watching it.
I mean, like I just said, it's a movie about how immigration is good and thinking that immigrants are coming to replace you is bad.
Yeah, but if they had killed Venom in the middle of the beginning of the movie, everything would have been fine. You know, like objectively having symbiotes is worse for the planet. So,
yeah,
I don't know. And then also they're, you know, gay lovers and stuff. So there's that.
Yeah, they are gay lovers, so that's.
Although I do think this movie tones it down a little bit from the last one.
I will admit, it was a little less blatant than in Venom 2 when Venom comes out in the club.
Yeah.
Sorry, when
Kinda
Venom
missed
comes out
that.
in the club.
Yeah. Could Venom destroy? Could the Xenophage destroy Megalon?
Nothing
Similar.
can destroy Megalon, Nando.
I don't know. Maybe it's made from symbiotes.
If the Xenophage tried to attack them in a city made out of Megalon, the city would have like restructured
Shield
itself
them.
to
Yeah.
shield them against the Xenophage. Yeah,
That's true. Oh my god, that's true. It would have shielded the Xenophage from all the raining acid too, because it hates it when shit rains on guys. So that would be. We're lucky Megalon was not involved. Do you think we ever see any of this again?
I think we see
Venom any of his
again.
friends. Do you? This Venom, Tom Hardy?
I don't think so. He's
I
got to
don't
be
know.
done, right?
I feel like they might do it. I wouldn't be shocked if we see not necessarily a Venom movie, but I would not be shocked if we see Eddie Brock, Tom Hardy, and Venom again.
Yeah, I agree. I honestly think I'd be kind of psyched if they show up in like Secret Wars or something in the big portals. I'd be like, hell yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised that they actually end this movie with Venom dead.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wow, we almost never commit to like having an ending anymore. This is kind of nice. No, I don't trust them to keep to it, as I've already made clear. But,
yeah,
you know, even pretending that there's an actual definitive end to something is so much better than I've gotten used to from these movies.
Especially with Venom, a character who, like, he's definitely coming back because this character you could essentially just 3D print a new one based on symbiote goo that's left somewhere or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he's bonded to Eddie. Yeah, cockroaches, the bar in the first Spider-Man movie, or in like in the third Spider-Man movie that was never followed up on. It's
and never will
definitely. And it seems like he just leaves fucking pieces of him everywhere too. I originally thought it was more of like a thing where it was like but like he puts a shot glass down and just leaves some symbiote. So there's probably loads of Venom everywhere.
They call it viral
goo.
shedding early in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. They do have a name for it.
It's his goo.
So yeah.
His goo is everywhere.
It's goo. It's a big problem, right? Am I right, boys?
Oh,
yeah,
you're telling me. You're telling me the missus is always like, you're leaving your goo everywhere. And I'm like, give me a break. I want to be a symbiote over here, I say. But yeah, you guys, that was great. Venom, The Last Stand. Or wait, no, what's it called? The Last Dance. like Michael Jordan.
Last Dance.
Yeah, they did do a dance in this. That was good.
And it was the last one.
Yeah. Is this? Oh, here's my other question: worse than Joker 2 or not worse than Joker 2?
Not worse than Joker 2 for me.
Ooh, I have to think about this.
Yeah, I kind of like Joker 2 the further I get from it because of how much everyone hates it. I think it's kind of
honestly
fun.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate that it's something.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to the first Joker movie, which is nothing.
Yeah.
Even though, again, I'm not going to Star Wars prequel this. It is a badly made movie, but it's got something, and that's worth a lot to me.
It made the people I dislike angry, and I love that. If I could make every movie do that, I'd appreciate it a little bit more. But yeah, well, do you guys want to get to our classic segment then? We'll close the book on Venom forever until, Spider-Man 4, whatever.
Or Sinister Six.
Yeah. DJ, do you have anything to recommend to the fine people?
Nope. What about you? No, kidding. I should be able to opt out though, right? Can I?
Yeah, I mean,
it would be really funny
hypothetically.
if one day, because I feel like in the past, you and I have both stretched the definition of what a thing we could recommend is.
I mean,
it'd be funny if one day we just fully went like, no, I got nothing.
No one has stretched it more than me. I am the maximum stretcher. I am the stretch sweatpants of Rex. No, I have one. I mean, this does not bite me. I hope this doesn't bite me in the butt because I've only watched half of this. But Hasan Minhaj, great comedian, has a new special on Netflix. That's called Off With His Head. And I just like him as a comedian, and new stuff with him makes it happy. And I hope I don't learn that he does something horrible at the end of it, because again, I've only watched half.
Sorry, DJ, makes it happy? What precisely is it making happy?
Oh,
what? You said you didn't say it makes me happy. You said it makes it happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Like you were talking about a certain part of yourself that gets made happy by it.
The cheeks, baby. Does that really say that? Oh my god, it's my brain is sliding out of my ears. But yeah, it's if you've never watched his comedy, it's got a lot of good stuff out there. He used to have a fun show on Netflix that I really enjoyed, and I'm sad they took it away just because it seems like Netflix went away from political shows, which is a shame.
That, and he said mean things about Saudi Arabia. They would not allow.
Okay, well, you can't do that against
you really can't.
Great people at Netflix. But yeah, so it's just a good special. I really like his comedy. I don't know what else to say besides it's a good comedy special. And I don't have a lot of recs because I don't know. It's been busy.
Does he talk about how he's canceled?
Not to, again, I only watched half of it, so I don't know but not at the part I got up to.
I mean, I would have to assume the title Off With His Head is because he got canceled, right?
Okay, did he get canceled?
Is he not referenced? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
I
man,
mean, he
big time
he didn't get canceled for being racist.
No,
he
yeah.
got canceled for telling stories as true stories that turned out to not be true.
Yeah,
yeah. Don't all comedians do that though? So that's something they all do. Don't
I guess in the context of the stories, he did the stories, made them seem like it, instead of doing them for comedic effect, he did it for political effect, I guess, or something. I don't know.
I mean,
He's one of those comedians that people clap at a lot instead of laugh sometimes.
It was one of those things where the fake stories made other real people who were could be identified seem like they were racist or awful in ways that was not actually true. So that was kind of shitty.
I gotta tell you, I can't keep track of all the canceling. I'm not saying it's good or bad.
Just assume a comedian is canceled.
All right, that's fair.
Especially when they have a special, it's nah, you don't just get these anymore. You got to be canceled.
Now, I didn't look into this too deeply or even read the article. I just kind of heard about it. So if I'm wrong about the precise nature or if it turned out it wasn't true, sorry, Hasan Minhaj.
I'm surprised it hasn't come up in the special yet. I assume it would start with that. But
no.
Huh.
So. But yeah, no, that's mine. That's my recommendation. That's my recommendation. Diggins, what about you?
I watched a couple of movies since our last recording sesh that I'd like to recommend. One has become weirdly, well, not weirdly, but perhaps predictably, but the precise nature of how it became more relevant since I watched it was not something I had predicted. Because I watched a movie called Union. You guys probably haven't heard of this one because it hasn't gotten a wide release for reasons that will become abundantly clear very soon. Union is a documentary about the efforts of a group of people a couple years ago to organize a labor union in an Amazon warehouse in Staten Island.
Right, I've heard of
the Amazon labor union, which was somewhat unique in that they didn't have the backing of any of the like major union organizations in America. It was all like grassroots, them doing it like themselves, like organizing a union from the ground up. So it's just about like the process of them sort of like going through that. It starts like mid process because that's when documentary filmmakers decided to film them after it started. It'd be weird if they would be weird if they were there from day one.
Yeah.
But it just sort of like goes through and like shows some of the things that, you know, it's a documentary. It shows some of the stuff that happened along the way, some of the trouble they ran into, like the process of how the Amazon tried to crush the union or get them in trouble or otherwise union bust. And ultimately they did win their election. But the union still hasn't been organized because Amazon keeps suing to be like, no, it shouldn't happen though. And the National Labor Relations Board keeps being like, no, we checked and it's all good. And Amazon's like, no, but it's not though.
That's a good point. That's a good
so
point.
It actually does not exist yet, even though they did win the election and it is supposed to exist.
Well, what's the final word from Jeff Bezos? Because
that's the problem.
Everything runs through Jeff.
That's the problem we're running into, isn't it? So that's what I mean by weirdly more relevant than I thought it would be, even though Jeff Bezos is a bad guy and Amazon's a bad company is an evergreen topic.
That's true.
Yeah.
And now this podcast will never see distribution.
Yeah, we just got pulled. Oh, well. Mm-hmm. Good run, everybody.
If you couldn't find us on Spotify, it's because I just said that. Anyway, so that was interesting. I actually don't love it as a film because I'm not a big documentary guy to begin with. And also, it's that very, like, fly on the wall, we're just recording everything as if we weren't here kind of documentary, which I find weirdly more fake than ones where it's like we're doing interviews and like people, it's clear that, and like people are talking to the camera, because it's like, it's weird to me that you are all like having conversations and doing things as if you are not being filmed when you clearly know that you are.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
But the subject matter is really cool and interesting, and I liked learning about like what went down with that process and the people who were involved with it. So I think it is still a good watch. But another movie I watched since then, another romance, much like this movie.
Oh,
We Live in Time. That movie with the funny carousel with Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh.
Do you see it in it? Do you see the horse and go, that's that horse from the carousel?
You do see it, yeah, for like a second, but it is there.
Sick.
So this is a romance movie, which honestly gets you 90% of the way through the like pitch for it. It's very much just sort of a kind of melodrama about the relationship between Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh. Meeting, getting married, having a kid, and then the major thing about it, and this comes up very early, is like she has a recurrence of ovarian cancer that is like prognosis does not look good, and so a lot of the like the drama sort of like comes from that. it has a very it has an anachronic structure to it, where ultimately it's sort of like we have 3 timelines going on that we sort of just hop back and forth between: the beginning of their relationship, this cancer business, and when she is pregnant. And we sort of just jump between those 3 sort of out of order. I don't know that adds a lot to the movie. I guess you sort of layer the structure of like those different moments in their lives that way. But that being said, I think it's a very sweet, like, if you just want to see a sweet romance movie about a relationship and about sort of like the struggle of facing the idea that you could lose someone you love, and also if this movie had been very popular and successful, a prime example I would bring up at the end of the year for this being the year that fucks. Then I think it's pretty good, and I think it's worth watching.
Cool.
Nice.
What about you, Nando? Anything to rec?
Sure. I have a couple things that also live in time. For instance, I watched a movie this week because Patton Oswalt was in an interview and said he watched it once and was like, it's cool. Hold on a second. Let me just fix my microphone here. So the xenophage in my apartment is trying to rip up all my soundproofing.
Oh my
goodness.
But Nando is being lawnmowered by the xenophage.
He's a monster. But I watched a movie called Coherence. I can't remember. Has anybody else ever watched this? Have you seen it?
No.
I haven't watched it, but I do know about it.
Yeah, it's from 2013 or something. It's a very low budget movie starring people you probably won't recognize. And the whole thing is like, well, there's a comet and different things are happening that are a little strange. And you're not supposed to say anything else, so I won't. And it's interesting. I kind of like it. I would say, without saying that I will say this. It is not a movie. Well, yeah, I'll say this. It is not about the same thing as Primer is about, but it feels like Primer in that it's like very, very technical, smart people made a movie and stuff. But it's got a lot. Like, it has things to say, and in a way that's not just kind of clever for the sake of being clever. It's very basic, like filmed. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. I didn't love it, didn't hate it. But I did watch it. Other thing I watched this week, Lego Marvel Avengers. I don't even remember what it's called. Operation Demolition or something. A little short on Disney Plus.
Pharrell documentary?
No, not yet. They could team up in the future. But there's a new like little animated movie about the Avengers, starring a character named D-Man, who is a comic book fan, one of those fan favorite characters. Yeah.
He gives the D to
he does give the D. That's right. Well, he's the D stands for in universe Demolition. They kind of rewrite his origin a little bit. Well, they rewrite his origin a lot.
Wait, he's Demolition Man?
He is Demolition Man, not that Demolition
Man.
I mean, you know what? Maybe in the future. Maybe that could
the point of Demolition Man.
Yeah, that could happen with this guy. But for now, he's just a man who works for damage control, who like is supposed to make sure that they don't, that they sweep up all the times that the Avengers blow up a thing. And he always makes everything worse, but then the Avengers all get captured in a way that's kind of funny, and then he has to save them. And D-Man he's an interesting character. I think he's one of Marvel's first gay characters, although I don't know how long he was openly gay for. There's that. He also has an outfit that is super memorable because it's just Wolverine's outfit mixed with Daredevil's outfit and like kind of stapled together, so that's kind of fun.
Possibly Marvel's first gay character who didn't die of space AIDS.
He might be, yeah, he might be that. And but what I can't remember is like, when was he introduced? And then was there a point, did he have like a Kite Man moment where another writer took control of him like later in his career and gave him a bunch of interesting traits that were, like if you look him up before then, it's like, he's just some guy with a big D on his chest. But either way, yeah, so that's fun. I don't love it, but like, it's also fun. What We Do in the Shadows is back. Love that show. Season 6, they're doing their thing. Gizmo has a job now. That's kind of fun. I think I've seen all the episodes. I think they actually released one yesterday, so I haven't seen all the episodes from this season, but I'm liking it so far. Diggins, have you watched the new ones yet, or have you watched the season?
I didn't know the season had started. I gotta get on that.
I know, man. This advertising shows like this is so tough. If I don't see a person on like Seth Meyers promoting it, I totally miss it. But luckily, Harvey Guillem was on a couple weeks ago talking about it. And yeah, I mean, it's still great. They have a couple new vampire people that they introduced that are kind of fun. But okay, Big Rec. I saw a play this week, or not play, well, musical-ish, like fully musical. The same way that a play is like, musicals are musical plays, but we don't call them that. And it is, speaking of vampires, although it's not about vampires, but it is called Teeth. It is.
I was going to try to see this soon.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. I liked it. I've never seen the movie. For people that don't know or kind of know, it's that movie where it's like about a girl who is going through puberty and also has maybe, some teeth in a place that would be interesting if they were there, and it's part of a weird little mythology.
Is a way to describe it.
Yeah, it would cause a lot of problems for someone, but she's
someone who's not necessarily her.
That's true. Yeah, well, it causes her some problems too. It causes other people slightly bigger problems, but yeah, the so I don't know how much the play is like the movie, and I don't even know if there's other, like a book it's all based on or something, but I know that the play is like based on like set at a church camp. So in the beginning of it, it kind of has that like Book of Mormon-y feel where it's like, oh, they're making fun of how these kids are all, little prudes and stuff, and like sexually repressed little prudes. So that part of it, I was like, all right, this is okay. But then when the teeth stuff starts happening, the gears really shift and it becomes really funny because it's a show where everything that's happening is going to happen. It's like any show where people are in danger. So if we want the people to be in danger, if we don't want to have to feel really bad for them, we got to set up some real pieces of shit really quickly. And one of the songs for that is so funny. It stars a couple people I don't recognize the names of, but Andy Carl, who was Rocky in the Rocky musical and was Phil in the Groundhog Day musical, plays the priest. The head minister guy who's super funny, and then another character, and it has one of my favorite songs I've heard in a very long time. Yeah, so we really liked it. It's very silly. We were in the first 2 rows, so they gave us ponchos, and there was blood splattered at us. Yep. So that was fun. Not an insane amount, but enough that you probably do want a poncho. And yeah, all the performers did a great job, and it's very small. It's like in that one New World Theater, I think is what it's called, where they do like Play That Goes Wrong and a couple of other things. So
it's off Broadway, right?
Yeah, it's like what makes it off Broadway though, because it's like on 50th Street. It's pretty close, like it's not like so there. Yeah, so then it is definitely off Broadway then, and it's very but it's a very like inexpensive show. I think you could probably get tickets, like good tickets, for like $40-50, and yeah, I had a great time. The ending is insane. You kind of got to get in that headspace of like accepting that it's going to be kind of stupid, but in a way that's like pretty satisfying. And
that's a Michael R. Jackson joint, I believe.
It is a Michael R. Jackson joint. That's right. Yeah, and that was the thing that sold me on it. But then I saw Andy Carl's name and I was like, oh, okay, he does like cool stuff. So that second double sold me on it. But yeah, so I liked it. I thought it was interesting. And Hannah had a really good time. And everybody in our theater was like loving it and having a ball. So yeah, I think it's pretty fun. So yeah, that's Teeth on Broadway or on off Broadway. But yeah, what are we doing next week, fellas?
What are we doing next week?
Is anything big coming out? I don't think so.
Hutchtober is over, unfortunately.
Yeah,
we're in Hutchvember now.
Yeah, I mean, we could do Agatha if we want, but I don't know.
We could.
It's too good.
I gotta bring it up just so we can disappoint everyone again. We could do a movie debt,
but we won't.
We could do that. Well, we could do that. What was the movie debt that kind of connects to something? Was there one
weird anime movie? There was Babylon.
Swordfish, the most recent one.
Swordfish, right?
One. I feel like
I guess none.
The one I get to pick, which I have such sights to show you.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. Maybe we will do one of those then. Depends. It's a weird week because of all the holiday and stuff. So Maybe we'll want one that's a little easier to see.
And
I don't think any big.
It's award season, baby. Lots of really good awards movies coming out, and also some not so good ones.
Yeah. Do any movies release this week?
Ton, but mostly
like
Indian award stuff. Nothing we would really cover.
When is Moana? It's coming out.
Not
right?
till Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Thanksgiving,
Okay.
and then it's like Gladiator 2 also toward the end of the month is the other big one.
Oh my God, yeah. That is a big one. Oh, we could do that movie here that all takes place in one room, you guys. Imagine that. That looks like such a fucking mess. I like Robert Zemeckis, but my goodness.
I don't like late stage career Robert Zemeckis. I like early career really Robert Zemeckis.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like there's nothing next week. So we'll figure it out.
We're only a few weeks out till Red 1.
Yeah, we got some really fun stuff on the horizon.
The event of the year of the Rock, as DJ said.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, guys, I'm going to be proven right on this. Just you wait.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's Red 1 right into Gladiator and Wicked. That's one day, right? Like they release on the same day. And then something else, I think. And then Moana after that. So it's going to be a pretty crazy month. Do you guys have anything to plug, DJ?
Just the normal roses and rejections as we wrap up the Love is Blind reunion. And then we were actually on the Socially Distanced podcast, the flagship podcast from the Pop Break Network, where we did a takeover where we forced Bill and Amanda, the hosts of the Socially Distanced pod, to watch the first 2 episodes of this season of Love is Blind, and we almost melted Bill's brain. That was fun. So check that out. What
part melted his brain?
Just having to see these people try and find love and talk about like they know what they're talking about. Just really made him furious. So
they're
that
just
was
in
cool.
love, you know.
Do you think sometime soon on Roses and Rejections, you and Michelle are going to cover the classic reality show Black and White?
I don't know what that is.
Which one is that?
So I learned about this recently. Black and White was a reality show. I don't remember exactly when it was. But the premise is they took 2 families. Get this,
guys.
Baby. One family was white and one family was black. DJ, you have no idea what I'm about to say that makes this so much more insane.
I'm Googling it, unfortunately.
They took one white family and one black family and had them like live together, but so that they could really understand the experiences of the other side. The whole time they have the black family do whiteface and the white family do blackface.
I love it.
Just absolutely insane.
Forgetting about all of the horrible implications of it, it just never looks like you're always like, this is something, you know, this is somebody's in makeup or something like this. Like, it's never convincing.
That's the thing. It's like nobody's gonna look at these people and be like, ah, yes, a black man. It's gonna be like, what the fuck is wrong with that guy?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh boy. Black, white. Very good.
So when are you guys gonna cover that?
Awful. Oh God. Right after Just Tattoo of Us. That'll be
okay.
What's that? Is that a tattoo? Do they have to get a tattoo on the date?
No, this was like a Snooki show after Jersey Shore. And it was 2 people would like, you had to like force the other person to like get like a shitty tattoo based on like some fight or whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's guys are covering that show like next week. So like 2 weeks we can expect
we'll be doing just Tattoo of Us. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you guys have to do, if we're doing bad ones, you got to do Opposite Worlds, the one that I've only seen on Jenny Nicholson, the one where they sent people into the past and future and kept injuring everybody. That one looks real fun. Apparently it's pretty hard to get, though.
This does look good. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You're talking about Black White. You're like, wow, this looks really interesting. Well, I'm actually really into this premise.
Shocked it only made 6 episodes.
It's shocking that 6 episodes. It's shocking you've never seen Black White, you know? It's shocking considering you've never done blackface, which is true. and you've never seen Black White. You know,
man, anybody who hears you say that, Nando, who doesn't know the earlier bit is gonna come away from that being like, damn, I guess DJ's done blackface.
Yes, he's done blackface. They're gonna think he did it on this show. You're gonna be like, they're mentioning it because he was the background extra. Blackface is bad. And we are seeing, it is the time of year when the blackface starts showing up. I did see at least one kid who was dressed as P. Diddy. Yeah. It was insane. Happened. Yeah.
Somebody has already ruined their career.
They really have. It's poor. Oh, man.
I promise, audience, I've never done blackface. I promise.
He has not.
As shocking as that is to DJ.
Mm-hmm.
I won't deny it.
Yeah. Because you're so respectful of cultures and stuff.
What episode was it that you said that I
don't
lost
remember.
My mind?
I don't know.
One of the historians can tell us.
Yeah, they'll let us know. Diggins, do you have anything to point people to?
I mean, I already did that in my Rex, but as far as things that to point people to that I've done, no. What about you, Nando?
I'll probably have videos out and stuff, but I don't know exactly what the schedule will be like. So I'll just say, go to my YouTube channel. I did an Agatha kind of breakdown video of episode 7. Not even just breakdown, just being like, wow, it was good. Best episode of the show they've ever done of any of the shows. So we're getting that. It really is good. And like, it's pretty wild how much it's good. And also it makes everything else better in retrospect. So it like, I don't know. I mean, I'm knock on wood. I'm feeling pretty good about tomorrow's episodes. So I've had those videos out. I had a video about Venom and why I think it's not very good.
If there's one thing we can always count on with Marvel shows, it's sticking the landing.
Yeah, I can't wait for them to do that, you know, shoot beams at each other and shit. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. It's very cool, very good, very very well timed too. Like they really nailed it. I could see a world where remember when they put that Haunted Mansion movie out in like mid-July?
Yeah.
You know, they didn't do that this time. They did it when it should come out, and it's great.
Because they knew it stunk.
Yeah, it really was a piece of shit. But anyway, you guys, so those videos and stuff on the Nando Cut channel, and then a video. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm retooling my Blade pitch to make it sound like it's a pitch to save Blade instead of just a pitch for Blade, because that movie's been fully delayed again. So that'll be out eventually.
No release date given at all.
It seems like, if anything, they're saving it for after the multiverse saga is done. And according to reports, Mahershala is like cool with that. So I don't know. Maybe that they want to do that. I don't know.
If I was I'd be so cool with it. I'd be like, I get to keep being in these articles, and presumably they like pay me something to keep me on retainer every once in a while, and I don't got to do anything.
Yeah. There's that one picture of me in that hat from when they took me on stage and were like, he's Blade. And then that's it. And then it's, you know, it's great. He's still having a great career besides that. So, you know, I don't know what he's up to this week, but I bet he's up to great things.
I feel like he's already gotten like everything out of being Blade he's already going to get, because people are like, oh man, Mahershala Ali is going to be Blade. So he gets all that like nerd cred, but he doesn't actually do any work. Like he can just keep doing interesting indie movies like he wants to.
And like Into the Spider-Verse and just cool shit, you know? It's like he's good in those. And he's in that Jurassic World movie. Oh man, he's got a big couple of months coming, or big couple of years coming up.
He's not in the Ryan Coogler vampire movie, right?
No, he is not. Not that I know of, at least.
I didn't think so.
Unless he is, and he comes in as Blade. And he's like, hey, it's me, Blade, from the past. Because I'm from the past sometimes. That'd be pretty cool. DJ knows what I'm talking about. Anyway, you guys, we'll talk to everybody next week. Until then, I've been at Nando View Movies on Twitter.
I'm at Tippy by Day.
I'm at This Is a Not Me.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
Peace. Bye.